Okie dokie. Welcome, one and all, to yet another episode of WIC TV. It's a cross ideological space where we come together to talk about issues both political and cultural, from the silly to the serious. And, gang, have we got a show for you today? We are going to be discussing whether or not the far left is a net negative to the Democratic coalition. Recently, there has been some scuttlebutt of people who are very angry at people like Hassan, who refuse to endorse or have said that if it was between Gavin Newsom and J.D. Vance, that they would vote third party. And many have criticized this decision as weakening the Democrats. There are also other incidences where people have said that the far left has gotten in the way. The other side of the coin will say, well, the far left are voters. They're trying to get people out to vote. They're trying to get Democrats to support policies that will be good for people, and so we need them in the coalition. But we're going to talk about today. We got some great people with us. I'm going to give the mic first to Kalinda, and then we'll just go around in the order we got. Kalinda, open us up. What are your thoughts?
All right. Hi. Yes, I do think that far leftists, or rather far leftist influencers, are a net negative to the Democratic Party. Maybe not necessarily all of the people. I imagine the majority of leftists probably do vote Democrat, but people like Hassan and other people who are, and like Kyle Kalinske and these sorts of people, the Majority Report now, who are basically just out there saying that like just shitting on the Democrats 24/7. I do not think this is helpful or good, especially when you look on the other side with the Republicans, where they have a majority of where like all of their alternative media influencers are all out there saying, you got to get out and vote for Trump, guys. Trump's amazing. And they never say anything bad about him. I'm not saying you can't say anything bad about the Democrats, but when you constantly harp on how shitty the Democrats are, I don't think that's good. And I think it's because there's an ideological divide between what we want and what they want. Yeah, and also, I got lots of other stuff to say, but I'll leave it there for now.
Okay, thank you for being here. We'll get into it as we go. Next up, we got Primecayes. Go ahead.
Hello, thanks for having me here. My name is Primecayes. You can find me on Twitch, YouTube, kick.com/Primecayes. PRIMECAYES. Would love to have you. So I'll get things started off right by attacking the moderator. Wick has said that some people, feel that left this week in the Democratic Party. By some people, he means him. I appreciate you. Fair enough. Okay. All right. Didn't want you to hide your power level there, buddy. But that's fine. In any case, I think I'll say a boring answer. It's important to have different perspectives within a party. Yeah, leave it there for now.
We'll get into it. Next up, Usurpthechef. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you. I know you try to say chief there like everybody else does, but yep, my name is Usurpthechef. You can find me mostly on Twitter at this point. I do have a really crappy YouTube video or YouTube channel where I'm still learning and getting disappointed after every video I upload, but I am going to be on the side of Kalinda here. I do think that, and like she said, the left media sphere, the far left people online, and not really on TV because it's really hard to find it. It's mostly just all online. They are net negative to the broader Democratic movement and to the party. And I think I'll just start off by, we don't have to answer this question now, but what has the far left done to help the Democratic coalition? I think if we ask that question, I think we might find that there aren't many answers because they don't really help. All they do is hurt. Now, and while some of them might have decent ideas about policy changes that I would even agree with, I don't agree with their end goal. And I don't think that their technique or their idea of how we get there is viable or will work.
Okay, we will get into it as we go. And last but certainly not least, Doobie, go ahead.
So I think that essentially, I think that the attacks on the far left, quote unquote, from moderates is sort of a scapegoat. They're ignoring the actual problem that is driving voter disengagement, voter disillusionment, which is structural. It's a lack of trust in the party. It's failures on the party's part. I think all of that is just, it's sort of a scapegoat, right? So rather than deal with the actual parties within the actual issues within the Democrat Party that are pushing away young people, they attack the young people for not just following along. And I think it's a losing tactic.
Okay. And with that, we'll get into it. The floor is open. If you have trouble getting a word in edgewise, just raise your hand or raise your flipper or whatever.
I have a question,
Go ahead.
but I'm going to I want you guys to answer, Prime and Doobie, you should answer chef's question first and then I'll ask my question later. The question about what have far leftists actually done for the Democratic coalition or the Democratic Party overall? Yeah.
You want to take it, Prime, or should I?
You go first.
Yeah, I think that you need energy to win elections. I think far leftists, quote unquote, tend to be younger people, and those younger people are the kind of people you want to mobilize because they're not typically inspired to go out and vote. So you want to create some energy there, gather that energy, turn it into momentum, and push people out to the polls. And I think that there have been elections, like I think Obama's election was a great example of this, where that momentum building within young voters who tend to be further left than the older moderates, did build and help the party. They did push turnout. I also think that they keep the Overton window. My perception of the Democrat Party, to be clear, is that over time, moderates are pulling the party to the right, to the center and to the right. And this has been happening since at least the 90s, since at least Clinton. He's the most clear example of the new Democrat shit that has slowly been pulling the party to the right over time. I think that leftists, quote unquote, keep the Overton window from shifting too far to the right. Because I think if it continues shifting in that direction, over time, you're just going to have a center-right party and a far-right party. And I don't think that's what people want.
Okay.
Wait, what? No. Do you actually
I don't think that was
believe-
that complicated.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. It's just that that's not true. You actually think the Democratic Party has moved further to the right since the
Yes.
90s?
Yes.
Can you,
Even after
okay,
Obama
so,
and the Affordable Care Act getting passed and
Yes.
the
yeah,
passing of gay
more
marriage.
people in the Democratic Party support Medicare for all now. Bernie actually helped move the Democratic Party to the left since 2016. And
he was
also,
the
and that,
leftist,
which
right?
means that Democrats, which means that like, you get Democrats like putting stuff like public option in their platform and stuff, which isn't necessarily something that they would have done previously, or like campaigning on things like that. Also, like all the social issues.
It's very weird that you're taking credit for like what a leftist has put forward, right? Bernie Sanders.
Yeah. Oh, well, hold on.
Yeah, but he's not a
Hold
leftist.
on.
Leftist
Let
who's
me-
kneecapped
Hold
by the
on, hold
Democrat
on, one at
Party
a time, one at a time.
consistently.
Let Prime finish.
Let
Let
me-
Prime finish. Let
I'll
Prime
respond.
finish.
Wait. No.
I'll respond.
Okay, well,
Oh,
no, because this is
make your point, make your
pointless.
point.
To be
Make your
clear,
Go ahead.
I don't include Bernie Sanders among the kinds of people that we are talking about. At least not what I am talking about. I don't think Bernie Sanders is one of those like unproductive, unhelpful leftists. I also don't think
Oh.
Zohran Mamdani is either.
I'm
not talking
very
about
glad you said that.
politicians.
Oh wow. Okay. Oh yeah. Sure.
What? You think I
so,
hate Bernie
people
Sanders?
that-
I don't. Bernie's
People,
a
yeah.
pragmatist.
I don't care. So it's interesting that like you're segregating this between people that you like and people that you don't like, right? Rather than like their ideologies, right? Like Hassan would vote for Bernie Sanders. Hassan was a big booster of Bernie Sanders.
Yeah.
And then you say, well, Bernie Sanders, no, he's one of the good ones, right? Not one of
Yeah,
those.
but would he?
Okay, well,
But
would he
Bernie
vote for
Sanders
him,
isn't
though?
the end
Well,
goal.
hold
that
on. Let
Hassan
Prime.
wants.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Let Prime finish, and then we're gonna go to Usurped and Kalinda. Go ahead.
Sure.
Okay.
It sounds like what they mean by leftist. And I don't think this is what our friend Wick meant when he set this up, but Wick can correct me on this, right? It sounded like what you were talking about, and maybe I'm wrong, is that you're talking about people on the quote unquote far left of the party, right? In general. Specifically, though, and they said that during their opening statements, they're talking about commentators, right? Commentators who they found annoying, right? Even though their ideologies might be the same as the politicians, they just don't like the commentators. I'm not going to spend my time like arguing about like what Hassan said or Kyle Kalinda said. I don't give a
Bro,
crap. No one
yeah.
cares.
Kamala-
Excuse me. Still
Bernie
talking.
is-
Excuse me. Still talking. Thank you. So I don't care about that. I won't sit here arguing with it. I don't think Doobie is interested in talking about that either. What we're interested in talking about is policies, right? And how leftist policies, right? And leftist activists and the energy they bring to the party, like how that is valuable and what that does. And that's what I'm prepared to talk about. But I don't give a crap about what Hassan says, Calculus, or anyone on Twitter says. Of no concern of mine. So to answer the question for Usurp, and then I'll be done talking. I think some of the greatest victories of the Democratic Party have been due to leftists. For instance, the Civil Rights Movement. The Civil Rights Movement was a leftist movement. Like that was a far left. It was clearly outside of the Overton window at the time, right? And the moderates within the party were saying, "Well, hold on, you're pushing too far, right? Let's take some incremental steps here, right? We don't want to scare off, right, the white suburban class or whatever the term was back then. No, it was leftists who pushed and agitated." And eventually, right, overcame the moderates.
No,
excuse me, still, hold on.
You're just
I said,
wrong.
excuse me, hold on,
You're
excuse
trying
me.
to claim
Excuse me, hold on, I'm talking. One at a time. Hold on. I promise I'm almost done.
Wrap it
and then
up.
you can jump in. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Anyway, so it was the leftists who overcame those moderates, overcame, and of course, obviously the conservatives who are always awful, who overcame that and shifted the window, shifted American politics to where it needed to be, and then we got that victory. Now I'd love to hear what you guys have to say.
Okay,
so
first of all,
here,
you know what? Go ahead.
One at a time.
Sorry.
You'll both
Yeah,
get a
real quick.
chance.
I find it weird to say that Lyndon B. Johnson would be considered a leftist by today or by anybody today.
Did I call him a leftist?
You said the people who got the Civil Rights
let him
Act
finish.
passed.
Let Usurp make his
And
point.
LBJ was the
That's
president he pushed more than anybody, more than JFK did, to get the civil rights laws passed. He was instrumental in that. Now, of course, there were obviously organizations on the ground that helped push that message. I'm not trying to deny that, but it was a liberal Democratic politician who got that actually past the finish line to the point where it actually mattered and it became law. One of the things earlier, I think, Doobie, that you mentioned that younger people mobilize, and I think it's good. Yeah, you will have a lot of far leftists on college campuses, even on the streets during elections, handing out, even door knocking. And I do think that's good. And I know you brought up the Obama campaign. However, I think if you went and spoke to a lot of far leftists online right now, they would say that they were disappointed by what happened with Obama. And they were disappointed by that they were only able to get the ACA passed. So I also think that we can't necessarily hope on their mobilization anymore because we haven't really seen it happen in the past ever since Obama. It was the last time we saw any real far leftists mobilize in that same way. Not to say that they can't mobilize in the future. I just think that with their all or nothing attitude that a lot of far leftists have, it makes it difficult for them to actually get to a realistic point when it comes to politics, because politics, unfortunately, in reality, is all about negotiation, and you have to work with people that you don't necessarily agree with. And I find that every time a normal liberal will go up to a far lefty and see if they can get any kind of concession or meet in the middle, I find that it's difficult to try and do that same conversation with somebody who's far MAGA. That they're so entrenched in their position that it's impossible to get them out of where they're going. Kalinda, you can go.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Kalinda.
I just want to ask, Prime, who are you? Are you talking about MLK when you say far leftists, or were you thinking of other people besides just him?
There's
in terms of the civil rights movement.
There's a whole list of
Fred Hampton, like all those, like just are you talking about more like the people in the streets, the ones organizing, like
well, I mean, MLK himself was absolutely a leftist. I mean, he was.
I'm not saying that he wasn't. Although MLK,
yeah. I'm not saying that you didn't say that.
MLK was more of a pragmatist than today's leftists.
Trying to respond to you, okay, whatever. Okay, sure. Once again, they're the ones I like. Are the good ones, right?
No,
and the
it's not. It's not about
Prime. We're not saying that every single
leftist
hold on. No,
you asked me a question. I'm really trying to answer the question. Hold on. Like, do you want me to answer the question or not answer the question? Okay,
it's because you're straw manning me, but go on.
How am I straw manning you? I said nothing about your positions.
The ones that I liked.
Okay.
Enough.
Okay, we gotta go one at a time. Kalinda, rephrase your question if you need. Go ahead.
No, it's fine if he wants to like give names or whatever, but it's fine. It doesn't matter. I mean, I would argue that
Then
MLK
why
and
did you
like
ask
his
me?
particular movement was the most important. Like if you were gonna say like Malcolm X doesn't really matter that much, and
Does it really
yeah,
matter?
To the
What
same
in
level as
Black history?
MLK in getting the Civil Rights Act passed. I
What?
think
Hold on. No, hold on. I'm sorry.
think-
Like, I'm sorry. This. All right. I'm trying to keep it cool. I'm trying to keep it cool. I'm trying to
what
keep
did
it
Malcolm
cool,
X
right?
do?
To be told. Oh my God. Sorry.
Oh,
I'm not going to give you a
Jesus
whole
Christ.
Black history lesson here, right? You don't know. You have no idea.
You're going
Yes,
to
there was
ask this
a
question
large
in February?
coalition.
How
There was
rude.
an inside game and there was an outside game. Part of the
It's
civil
not
rights
my
movement,
job to
right?
educate you. Is that what you're doing right now?
Yes, it's not my job to educate you, white woman. No, it's not my job to educate you on the civil rights movement. Like, yes, MLK gets a lot of the credit today, right? But there's so many names that are lost to history that were ignored, right? Not just of quote unquote well, not just a far
We all
left, but
agree.
just like women who are part of it, people who are part of other marginalized groups who are part of it.
We all
All
agree.
these people, right? No, you don't all agree, right?
Yes, we
You
do.
don't all agree. Because just
How
say
do you
that
know
Malcolm X was not an important part of this
No,
coalition is amazing.
did I say he
right?
wasn't
It
an
shows
important
an
part or
incredible-
not
Hold
as
on,
big
I
of a
didn't
part
say,
as
I wasn't
MLK
talking to you,
was?
Usurp. You didn't say it. It was Caitlin.
Yeah, but
or
you're
whatever.
yapping on about things that we haven't said and
Kalinda.
giving us
Kalinda.
opinions that we don't
I didn't
have.
say you said it. I said Kalinda. If you didn't say it, then obviously it doesn't apply to you.
I
I'm
was
talking to
just
Kalinda.
wondering,
Kalinda's the one who
like,
said it.
can you name some of Malcolm X's accomplishments? That's all that I was good. I was just wondering. That's all. Like,
No, I'm not going to name. I'm not going to do this with you, right? So it's okay if you don't understand that. We don't have to go on. That's a huge tangent. That's all right? It just shows a complete lack of ignorance here on this panel. But
Thank you.
We'll
We
move
do
forward,
lack a lot
right?
of ignorance
So once
here.
again,
Okay, all right,
let's
dude.
focus on the bad leftists, right? And then ignore the good leftists. Let's continue with that.
okay, no, stop. You need to stop doing that. That is not at all what I meant. When I am talking about it's not who I like or who I don't like or whatever. It's about like who is actually willing to like compromise and work within the system and who is willing to understand that you can't always have everything that you fucking want. Like, and who is willing to accept that
So the
not all
good guys, the
politicians
bad
are
guys.
perfect.
That's what you just said.
So no, you're just being silly about that. Here,
I'm not being so. I'm just
will,
like.
will you hold on?
Guys
Will you guys commit to right now that if Gavin Newsom is the nominee in 2028, you'll both vote for him?
No.
If he's a nominee for the
Okay,
president.
there you go. That's
It
what I'm
depends.
talking
It depends
about.
which state I'm in, to be honest with you.
Let's say you're
If I'm in a
purple-
state,
let's say
if I'm in
you're
like a swing
Michigan.
state,
Let's say you're
maybe.
Michigan.
But if I'm in California, fuck no.
All right. Now, so this is actually one of the things that really bothers me, and I just don't know when it comes to the far leftists if they just don't if they don't think Trump is that bad, if they are not opposed to what a far right or like a kind of authoritarian government could possibly do in this country. Maybe that's why they're able to say, yeah, I wouldn't vote for Gavin in the election, because no one has ever said, or at least I'm not gonna say that, we haven't been saying that, hey, during the primary, run whoever you want, vote for whoever you want, and if a far leftist and someone like with really far left gets through the primary, guess what? I'm voting for that person to be president. Like, I think both Kalinda and I, if there was like a far lefty that won the Democratic nomination and went up against J.D. Vance, I think we would all line up the night before to make sure to vote for him, because we know that a J.D. Vance presidency is just going to be a continuation of the Trump presidency, which will be fucking terrifying because we all have eyes and consciousness, and we've seen what's happened in the last year. So it frustrates me personally when I think that, no matter who the Democrat, like blue no matter who, is literal in my sense, where it could be Gavin Newsom, it could be Pete Buttigieg, Josh Shapiro, or it could be AOC, it could be Rashid Tlaib. I would vote for any single one of them. But when you ask the lefties the same question, when you ask them the same question,
can I ask you, sir?
Am I finished talking?
I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. I apologize. I don't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're good. But if you ask lefties the same question, they will not. They won't vote for somebody like Gavin Newsom, who is just like kind of a bog standard liberal at this point.
Sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you. No.
You're good.
Usurp. What if the Democrat was Jeffrey Epstein?
That's a stupid question. I'm not answering. Or actually, can I answer it in two ways?
Sure. Okay.
If I knew that going into it that he just had a absolutely terrible moral character and his policies weren't fascistic or authoritarian, and it's going against somebody who is a fascist or an authoritarian, I would rather deal with his his awful, awful personal shit, and everyone would condemn that anyway. No one would like him for that in this scenario. But if it would mean saving the republic, yeah, I would, because I think that's how dangerous JD Vance is.
This is like cult. I think this is like cult-like thinking on the level of MAGA. Like this blue no matter who thing it's really culty. I think there's something that
Can I tell you why? Can I tell you why?
I'm sorry.
I say that?
Harm reduction is culty. It's cultish to like.
Well,
say
he just told us he'd vote for Jeffrey
fascists.
Epstein. Like that's pretty culty. I think.
Why would I vote?
So I think. Okay, I understand. Maybe you think the right winger is so bad. You know, there's an institute fascism, take democracy away, whatever the fuck.
Yes.
Jeffrey Epstein was a Jewish supremacist child rapist running a fucking sex ring.
Yeah,
and
it's not good.
So if you vote for that guy, like some people
because he wouldn't destroy the country.
However, wait, one second. I think before we get to that point, right? Because it's possible we could get to that point, right? You either vote for the rapist or the guy covering for the rapist, I guess. I think that actually we sort of had that in the last election with Biden, because Biden's DOJ had all the Epstein stuff and didn't do shit with
Biden
it.
Didn't control.
So we sort of had that. So did Obama's, by the way. Didn't do shit with it. So we kind of already had that, right? A couple times now.
I mean, you don't know if they didn't do shit with it. They could have
No, I do know.
I do know.
No, they weren't. No, they weren't. This is all publicly available now. They were not.
There were not investigations going on in 2019
no,
and 2022?
No, you can look into this.
Okay.
So, well, then you're wrong. So don't imply that they did.
Epstein got arrested, did he not? In
I'm not talking about Epstein. I'm talking about the co-conspirators, the investigations that they specifically shut down. That's what I'm talking about. Actually, like Obama, you mentioned leftists being disappointed by Obama. It's because of this kind of shit, right? So the bailouts with no prosecutions for people on Wall Street who were corrupt and using insiders trading and fucked over our system. No, you can't. No prosecutions for those people whatsoever, right? So they bailed out these things because they're too big to fail, and then no prosecutions, no punishment at all, right? Many of these people got millions of dollars in bonuses for this shit.
Yeah,
I think there's like I said earlier, that is the actual cause, right? So the symptom is people going to the far left, quote unquote. I feel like we disagree about what far left is, but going to the far left, not liking the Democrat Party, being disillusioned with the Democrat Party, not voting at all, right? That's the symptom. The actual cause is the Democrat Party is slowly shifting to the right, I think, over time, and they keep letting down the voter, right? They make promises, they have all these lofty ideals, and then when they get the power to do these things, they compromise, they give some kind of half-hearted measure, and they don't push anywhere near as far as they claim they were going to, right? So people get disillusioned, they get disheartened, they say, okay, well, why the fuck am I going to go out and campaign for this dude if he's lying to me? And I know he's lying to me. He doesn't actually plan to go through with anything, the things he's telling me. So I think the Democrat Party needs to fix that perception, right? That is what's pushing people to the far left, quote unquote.
So when Obama gets elected, and I know he obviously didn't arrest all the people from the great financial collapse, which again, I'll even admit that's not good. It would have been really nice to see some of those people. It would have been really nice to see those people go to jail for a long time, especially for what they did to the economy, obviously. But because I am able to afford healthcare now, like I have a job where it's not given to me. Now mine went up a lot of money this year, but like because of what Obama did, I'm able to get healthcare. Now that might be funny to someone like Prime, but to me, who didn't go to the doctor for 8 years at one point because I couldn't afford it, well, it actually means something that I'm able to pay for it. And so when I understand that everything that we wanted didn't happen, but that's not a reason to say, okay, screw these guys. And in that process saying, okay, JD Vance becomes president, because if you can't take the political reality that we're living in at the moment out of the equation. Like on the other side is a party that is starting to morph in justify pedophilia. That is how cultish and committed they are to allowing Trump and JD Vance and whoever's next in their line, or Peter Thiel, to become the next president for the next 15 years. And that, I think, I guess people don't think that possibility is that bad, or they don't, maybe not even that they don't think it's that bad. They don't grasp how either A, realistic it is, or B, how bad it would be.
So, to respond to Usurp, to one thing, I wasn't laughing at you getting healthcare. No, it's fantastic, and I want more people to get healthcare. And I used Obamacare, right? myself. So I wasn't laughing at that. Yeah. So anyway, I won't
No,
more
you're good. You're good.
healthcare. Yeah, it's fine. That's fine. No, what I was laughing at though is this idea that um, uh, is this need to like give more credit than is deserved, right? And so we can remember the time for that Medicare
More
for
credit to
uh,
who?
uh,
Obama?
I will. Don't worry. I'll spell it out for you. Literally, just going to do it right there. So you remember the time where Medicare for All was being pushed, right? And that was during that campaign season when Hillary Clinton and Obama were battling it out, right? And they had their dueling plans, which were pretty much almost the exact same thing, if people remember that. But in any case, the point is, when Obama gets in office, there is a massive popular movement behind him pushing for Medicare for all, right? Or at the very least, a public option, right? He specifically rejects Medicare for all out of the bat, doesn't fight for it, right? And then he says, oh, we're going to go for a public option. The person he puts in charge, right, his point person was his chief of staff, whose name, oh my God, I always forget. But he became the mayor of Chicago.
Rahm Emanuel?
Rahm Emanuel, thank you. Rahm Emanuel. Rahm Emanuel, a creature of the for-profit system, right? Like he took money from them all the time. He was like one of their people, and he like specifically sabotaged that whole process. He specifically looked to weaken that process from the beginning. The people
I thought it was
they
Joe
put in charge-
Lieberman.
Yeah, with the one
And
no,
vote.
Joe
the
Lieberman was part of it. There was more than one person. No,
Yeah,
Joe Lieberman
that's how
was a bad
politics
guy,
works.
absolutely. But like literally, Rahm Emanuel has always taken and still is taking, as far as I know, money from the for-profit medical industry. So the point, all I'm saying is that the process of sabotage and what was put forward was a Republican plan. Let's not forget, right? Obamacare was a plan from the Heritage Foundation. That was their plan, right? And it was
Yeah, and it
shocking
got
at
me
the
healthcare.
time that the Republicans didn't actually sign on to it because the market solution
They couldn't
that
because
came
it was
out of the
Obama
right
that was
wing.
passing
Yeah,
it.
but Obama was the one who pushed
Yeah.
it, right?
So they can't
But that
tie their
doesn't
name
change
to
the
it.
fact that it was a right wing plan. It was Romney care, right? Romney was the
Yeah,
one who
but
did
that's
it
who.
first.
I don't give a shit. It could have been my
But it's not
dog's
a
care.
leftist
If he
plan.
wrote the bill and
No,
it
no,
got me
I'm
health
not-
care, I don't give a shit.
Usurp. No, usurp. You're misunderstanding me. I'm not saying that it wasn't helpful. I just said I was helped by it, right?
Yeah.
And it's great that you were helped by
But
it.
I just don't know
So
why
I'm
you
not
bring up that it's a
saying-
Republican
But it's
plan.
not good
Well,
enough,
hold on.
right?
Because it's not. Yes, because it's not good enough. Because
Well, then why
because-
isn't it good
Hold
enough?
on.
Nothing's
Sure,
ever
okay.
good enough.
Okay. All right. So, friend, usurp, right? Hopefully we'll be friends later on. But usurp. You just talked about how your prices have been skyrocketing, right?
Well, they skyrocketed
this
this year, particularly.
Yeah.
Probably 'cause of the
But,
Republicans.
We saw, what the Republicans did, they took away subsidies that were on top of Obamacare, right? So that came afterwards. It was an alteration, and they like removed that, right? But so what we're left now is like bare naked Obamacare, and yeah, those are the prices. So my problem is that if we had removed the market from this, all particular the private market completely, right? You don't have to deal with that, and that's Medicare for all. Or in the other case, public option, the government steps in, gives you another option, a much cheaper option, and you don't have to worry about this. This was a flawed plan that was put forward that and public option was never even fought for. That's my problem.
The public option was fought for when the plan was first pushed through. It was because of Joe Lieberman. We were one vote away from having a public option in 2009. Did it get passed, or 2010? We were one vote away. So I guess I just don't understand why it's Obama's fault when he pushed for it. It was his platform. He got it to the floor, and he just didn't get enough votes. That's what it comes down to. Because unfortunately, like I said in my opening, that in real world politics, with adults, you actually have to be able to negotiate. Now, do I think I truly believe, and I guess you probably don't, that if there was a way for Obama to have gotten us a public option, we would have it. Do you?
No, I don't believe that. And I also want to say something very quickly on Lieberman. And this is not just for Lieberman, but like you see this throughout time, right? And you see this on both sides. What I'm about to say it counts for both sides, but for me, honestly, it's just more pernicious when I see it from the Democrats. They designate a bad guy. They designate a person who's going to make
Who's
the
they?
vote, right?
It's the
They,
rotating villains theory. Oh boy.
yeah. So what I'm talking
Deep
about
state.
are the. Don't worry, I'm going to tell. I'm literally going to tell you. I promise, I'm not going to dodge your question.
Do you have any
right?
evidence whatsoever that this is a thing that they do, or are you just
Okay,
assuming?
we gotta have some order
Right.
in this court.
Great.
Prime,
So
be concise, but go. Yeah.
no, I'm not going to be concise. I'm going to actually make my point. So like, I said I was going to make a point. I'm going to make a point. Any which way. So what we when I say they, I'm talking about like the mainstream corporate Democrats, the leadership. That there are going to be votes where you cannot be seen doing the wrong thing, right? Like you might, let's say a Democrat is weak, right? In their state, right? Either they have low approval ratings, or they're in like a purple district, and for whatever reason they don't want to take the wrong vote, right? Well, then you can have someone else who doesn't have to worry about that, right? Who has a sure seat. They can be the bad guy and they can end it. So you can get the credit, right, and say, I fought for X policy, right? But then the other person does it. Now, before it was Lieberman, right? Then it was Joe Manchin, right? And Kristen Sinema. But it'll always be someone new. Now there's some people who last thing I'll say, there were some people who genuinely had disagreements. Sorry, lots of them have genuine disagreements as well I'll say. There will be some individuals who will always vote their conscience, wherever that may lead them. But there are others who are, because they've already been designated the bad guy, because the base already dislikes them, it's fine if they take the pressure. I'm done.
Do you think? Hold on. I just want to say, do you think that Joe Manchin was like disliked by the people of West Virginia, which, by the way, is like a very conservative state?
No, I said the opposite of that. The opposite of that, right?
Yeah, and I think even focusing on the 60-vote thing is...
Just quickly said, just very quickly, I said people who are in safe states. Joe Manchin was quite safe. That's why he kept coming back, right? And so he was a perfect person to do this.
But I don't understand.
No. So I'm sorry. I'm gonna need some actual, like, so you're basically like alleging this conspiracy on the part of the Democrats to like choose a person to say, okay, you can say no, so that therefore nothing will ever get done. This is wildly ridiculous.
How would that work? And that actually leads right into my question. So if you say you have like, oh, we can take this no vote from this guy who's like in trouble, like who has a district that won't like it or something like that, and move it over here. Eventually, if you're going to move it to a district where everybody wants it, because if people want the health care, you can't just keep moving it around and no. It just doesn't make sense how there's this like cabal of just moving all of these.
I'm a little confused as to what you're.
I don't think it's realistic to actually think that these guys are saying, "Hey, okay, Johnny, in that district, you can vote no, so we don't have it." I don't think that Lieberman was saying no in that moment because of that. Now, and I don't think that Obama was the one that was.
Lieberman meant it. Lieberman honestly didn't like it.
I think that's.
Do you think Manchin?
That is it. That's how.
Let Usurp finish, please, and then
think of it the other way around. It's less about Lieberman just taking a note, right? It's about other people being able to vote yes, right?
Okay.
They want to vote yes on something that's popular, even though they don't want it to go through.
Even if like,
how do you know they don't want it to go through?
Want to actually make things better for their constituents?
Yeah, Joe Manchin was probably
I think these people vote yes to get their good things to their constituents, and the people that don't do it, usually like all the no votes, there was Republicans, like you said earlier, it was a Republican plan, right? And under a Republican president, they would have voted yes. So it's.
Do you think so? I'm a little confused, Yusuf. Do you think that politicians purely act on the well-being of the constituents, or they might have other motivating factors?
I think it's
they do what they need to get reelected.
95%, yeah, because their job is to get reelected, so their constituents need to be happy with their performance.
And how did they get reelected?
By getting more votes than their opponents.
I don't know. Do you think this applies to Trump aligned like politicians too? You think they're voting for things because they think it benefits their constituents?
that's a cult, so it's kind of a little bit more difficult.
I mean,
in
actually-
my mind, the MAGA movement is
Come
a
on.
cult. And what?
No,
Do you not
hold
think
on.
it is?
No, I can answer this question. This actually is a pretty easy question to answer. Yeah, the MAGA movement is a cult. And that means that the Republicans who have gotten behind Trump are doing so because that their constituents love Trump and they want him to get and they
Yeah.
want, and that's why you find that there are like people like Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski are in districts where that's not necessarily as much the case, and therefore they are more free to be opposed to Trump. But
And
that's
it's
why
not
all these
fair.
Republicans are leaving now.
And it's
because
not even
because
fair
they can't oppose Trump.
to compare the two together, because like we've seen how many times since Trump has gotten back to office where Republicans went into the administration with one view on something. They've done the complete opposite. The War of Peace now is in 7 major wars, and now they're saying it's based. So it's really difficult to compare like Democrats.
No,
and
I don't think.
Republicans like that.
I don't think this is true because Trump has lost a lot of support even among Republicans. Like
But his
he's lost a
diehard
shit ton of
MAGA base, his diehard
Okay.
MAGA base is
Maybe,
Yeah,
maybe
he's
people,
like-
people hold on, people on the right like you guys who can vote red no matter who, right? So these people will vote for the Republican no matter what. That subsection of people exists.
I
Just
think
as on
any of
the
those
just as on the
people
left,
now-
left quote unquote, there are people who blue no matter who, right? I think it's the same type of group of people.
Do you think
Now
you
hold
would-
on, now to be
do you
clear,
think I would say
wait.
blue
Can
no
I
matter
just
who?
I think you just touched on something
You're
that
right.
that impacts what I was saying earlier, right? About actually what Prime was saying earlier about Obamacare, right, and the public option. Trump putting political pressure on politicians who don't fall in line, right? I think Obama's strategy with universal health care or the public option absolutely did not take advantage of that, and I think that was intentional. I think that was a strategy from Rahm Emanuel. It's a massive piece of shit, by the way. But one entirely focused on the 60 vote thing, where there was a lot of experts, left quote unquote strategists at the time, Democrat strategists at the time, saying that actually they could use budget reconciliation to get it through 51 votes. So they actually didn't need Lieberman at all. They could have gotten it through like that. And in fact, later they used that the budget reconciliation to pass amendments to Obamacare, right, to what actually got passed. So they could have done it from the start to protect the public option, but they chose not to. They chose instead to focus on the 60 votes and pretend that was like a law of nature they couldn't get around. Where we've seen from other politicians like Trump, when they run up against these walls, they find creative ways around them, usually to the detriment of the country.
break the laws,
right?
yeah.
Well, no,
And we
no.
kind of
hold
hold
on.
our Democratic senators and congressmen to higher standards.
No,
and
that wouldn't have broken the law.
Are you-
That would not have broken the law.
You wanted them to use budget
No, you're saying
reconciliation
Trump
to
does.
pass a healthcare
Yes.
plan? I
Yeah,
don't
hold
think
on.
that
To
I
protect the
don't-
public option, yes, they absolutely could have ordered it in such a way that would comply with the was it the bird law or bird rule?
I
They absolutely
very
could
much
have.
doubt that.
I know
think
you
that
I know
that's
you
just
doubt it,
hope
but
that
you can just like
people are
no,
saying-
it's not true. I'm
we
sorry.
should try and
Obama was getting a lot of
maybe
pressure at the time to do exactly that, and he chose not to. He chose to leave the public option on the table as something that could be negotiated away. It wasn't that important. It was something that I think predictably, when they chose to stick to the 60 vote requirement, that was obviously going to be negotiated away, right? Because they knew at the time,
can't-
everybody knew that there were blue dog Democrats,
can't
whatever the fuck
use
you wanna call
budget
them, who were not.
reconciliation
Yes, you
to pass-
can. Hold
No,
on, they
you
did.
can't. Not
They did later.
Obamacare.
Hold on, they did later to amend the
Yeah, they
same
passed
fucking plan.
amend-
So they could have
yeah, like
used
for,
it to
like,
protect
budget
specific
amendment
important
shit.
parts of that plan. They absolutely could have. They chose not to. Right, so because the Democrat Party
Reconciliation is
signaling
only for budgetary
for decades
shit.
now, since at least the 90s, has been compromised from the right. We need to be adults, and we need to compromise.
yeah,
on that.
you know what?
And
I'm sorry,
all this
because the
means
country's not
when
as
you're dealing
far
with the
left
right,
as you
when you're
guys
dealing with the
think it
right wing
is.
and the Republican Party, is you compromise. They never fucking compromise, and we slowly push closer to what they want.
Yeah,
that's
and-
what
and
I think. That's what's been
feels
happening.
like from us, and what it feels like from our point of view is that the right, they never compromise because they're completely fucked in the head, and we can basically count on nothing from their end. But at the same time, we have not half, thank God, because far lefties aren't nearly as possible as they think they are. We have people on our own side within our own Democratic Party that will not compromise. And
Can I
here we
ask-
are. And I think this actually goes back to the original conversation.
After you're done, I have a question for you guys, Kalinda and Usurp, but go ahead.
Okay. But I think this goes back, we've been sitting here for 30 minutes almost arguing about why Obamacare wasn't exactly perfect enough and how it was a failure because it wasn't perfect and we don't have a public option. And when in reality, this whole conversation, this prompt probably got brought up because of what Hassan said and how he wouldn't vote for Gavin Newsom in a hypothetical election against J.D. Vance because the option of Republicans winning can't be there. Like it would, there's a chance our country's fucked if an actual J.D. Vance or whoever they appoint to be their next continuation of MAGA ends up in office again. So that is why I say blue no matter who. And like Doobie, I think earlier you said like, oh, I would vote blue no matter who, no matter what. No, it's because we're actually in crazy circumstances right now, like we haven't seen in this country ever. And I think that's why it is incumbent that we do blue no matter who this year.
So I think you guys are like
Rick wanted to say something.
Well, let
Sure.
Dewey respond, but I do have a question once
so
this back and forth.
my read of Hassan's position on the voting thing, right, is he's very close to my. Actually, I think we have exactly the same position, right? Is because he's in California. He lives in California, a very solidly Democrat state. It is not going to anybody but the Democrat in any given election. Well, irrelevant because he said. Wait, he said.
He doesn't care
No,
about
stop.
Democrats.
He said in multiple articles, multiple interviews, that if you want to vote for the lesser evil, go for it. Right? If that works for you, go for it. Wait, stop.
The left.
Irrelevant. It's fine.
Okay.
But I think his position is if lesser evil, greater evil, it's still evil. And putting your name on a dotted line to position yourself on the side of an evil is going to be like it feels bad. It's not something that I would want to do, which is why if it were Gavin Newsom versus Vance in California, I wouldn't vote for either one. I would vote I'd vote either uncommitted or some other thing, right? So I think it's totally reasonable if you're in a solid state one way or the other and you don't want to back or put your name on the line behind someone you think is evil, whether lesser or greater. I think it's totally fine not to vote, right? But if you are in a state where it matters, right? I think obviously you should vote for the lesser evil. Unfortunately,
Yeah, you can respond,
but I think Hassan has made this clear repeatedly that is also his position.
You gotta let them respond. Go ahead.
Like
Usurp
no
and
one is mad. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. No one is mad that Hassan wouldn't himself individually vote for Gavin Newsom in California. Not a single person is mad about that. What we're upset about is the fact that he has, unfortunately, one of the largest audience of far left people online. He streams to at least like 20, 30K people a day and get up closer to the election, like 100,000. Instead of saying like, oh, you know what? I'm not going to tell you who to vote for. If I lived in a state, I might actually vote for Kamala. He should be, if he was able to entice and excite and influence his audience, even though he says, oh, I couldn't have changed any election results all by myself, even though, again, no one's fucking saying that. All we're saying is you have influence and you should use your influence to try and fight Trump. And that's what I just don't like it when people are trying to muddle the conversation by saying, oh, no one cares about his individual vote or his individual vote won't matter in California.
Also,
we know that.
Can I sorry, before you go on, Doobie, I just want to say one other thing. You can say all this stuff about California if you want to, but the problem is that California does have Republicans that were elected to the House in like districts. Like it's not like California is just like this blanket blue state and there's no conservatives living there. I think there's like particular parts of California that like have like Republican districts in them and stuff. Or like parts of California that are much more conservative.
Yeah, we're talking about the presidential election though.
Yeah, I want to
sort of relevant to the.
Yeah, but who controls Congress matters. The presidential election is not the only thing.
Let me read some of these super chats.
The question is specifically about the presidential candidate.
Super chats, guys. Super chats.
Gang. Let me read some of these super chats. Maybe have a little circuit breaker here, and then we'll get back to it. Okay. $5 from Audacity to say, Wick, you go to Home Depot today? I want to know where you found that tool in the top middle. Thank you for the $5, I suppose. $5 from My Listening Library. Say, crazy statement. Bernie raised this generation of leftists. Love that Prime and Dubes are here. I'm a traditional Dem, but we need our primes. $5 gang. Thank you for the $5. $5 from Sifu KFJ. Just wait till you unchosen find out that our system is already cucked to a group who doesn't like any of you. Your choice is an illusion. Oy vey. Thank you for the $5. And then $2 from Greg Yo to say, does Prime have anything to prove this conspiracy? Thank you for the $2. Sorry for that super circuit breaker, but I do got to make a little bit of money. But I wanted to ask Usurp and Kalinda, question, right?
Shoot.
Is there a line for you in the current climate that we exist, right? Where you have JD Vance or whoever the MAGA nominee is, where you would be like, okay, I just can't vote for this person. Like say, and I asked Soypill this question. Say, the Democratic candidate came in, broke into your house, and raped your family. Okay, would you still vote for them against JD Vance?
I think that misses the fundamental question or answer that we're trying to find here, because like obviously
I'm just asking for the
no.
line for your side. I just want
Yeah, like, but that has nothing to do with their policies or what they would
Yeah.
do to the country.
Yeah,
which
but
is
there's
what
something
I'm
that
thinking.
they could do that you would be like,
So the only for
Yeah,
me,
but-
the only other way I wouldn't vote is if it was like a far right fascist, let's call it just JD Vance in this, and then a far left actual communist or tanky. I would not vote in that election, and I would become a partisan in the streets.
okay, so if it was Hassan versus
I would be a
versus
partisan
Vance,
in
you
the
would sit
streets.
out?
Yes,
Yeah.
I would be a partisan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, I agree. I probably, yeah.
Because in
yeah.
my mind, in my opinion, that's voting to like end liberal democracy in America, and that's not something I want to be a part of. I'd rather try and fight it in any way I can.
Okay.
And by voting for one of them, it wouldn't matter. But that's why at the same time, it's like blue no matter who. Like it could be it could be AOC, it could be Rashid Tlaib, it could be what's that Tarico guy from Texas? It could be anybody. As long as they're like a normal
Talarico.
human being. Yeah, it could be like fucking it could be Joe Biden. I'd fucking vote for him. Even if he lost even double his brain cells between now and then. I would still vote for a comatose Joe Biden over anybody that the MAGA movement would put up.
Also, by the way, I just want to say that, Doobie, to go back to what you said before, you know that the Blue Dog Democrats are pretty much gone now, right? Like this notion that there are no, I don't even think there's no sizable number of pro-life Democrats anymore. This notion that the Democratic Party has moved further right is just not true. Biden was
They just
probably one of the most progressive president within our lifetime. Like to say that they have moved further like to the right is very silly.
It's just never far left enough, and that's the problem.
Yeah, I think you're misunderstanding what I mean by like further to the right. I don't mean on like social issues. Right? I mean like on economic issues. So
The NLRB would like a word.
sure. So would
See,
so would
it's never- nothing's
TPP,
ever good
right?
enough.
So would fucking the NSA
Oh, I'm
programs that
sorry.
Obama never shut down.
Is-
So would Guantanamo that Obama pledged to shut down but didn't fucking do it. Right?
Yeah,
so
I
like,
know,
hold
that's
on.
not
Yeah,
good.
I know. So fucking Libya,
Wait.
right?
So because of that, you're willing to
hold on,
torch
where
US
he got us
democracy.
involved in
That's what
Libya.
we
Now
don't
they have
like.
fucking slave markets there. Yeah, all that would like a word too, right?
Yes,
so,
because
so
that
fucking
thing's
supporting
a-
Israel,
Libya
like
was
committing a
like
fucking
a
genocide.
fucking-
Oh, that would also like a
Jesus
word,
Christ.
right? So Chuck Schumer going on fucking stage. Oh god, yeah, I know, haha, very funny. Chuck Schumer going on stage and we got to make sure we fund Israel. We got to fund Israel no matter what.
Just not
Nancy
pure
Pelosi going on stage and saying, oh, even if Washington were to burn down, our commitment to Israel would remain. This fucking disgusting
Rick,
shit.
I'm
right?
waiting for you to
Mid-genocide, by the way.
intervene, because
Oh,
otherwise
God.
this is going to turn
Please
into a
stop yapping.
debate about
Let-
Israel
let-
Palestine.
No,
Hold on.
it doesn't need to. What I'm telling you is when I
Make your
say
point,
they're
Doobie,
moving
and then we'll
further
get
to
to
the
it.
right, I don't mean on like trans shit or I don't mean I mean on like
Do they mean
they're
on like
moving-
any major?
I think
You
they
mean on
position
economic
themselves.
issues.
Yeah,
I can
economic
help you.
issues.
Economic or foreign policy?
They're trying to win over the corpos, the lobbyists, the donors.
So-
that is where they move to the right.
Didn't
I can-
the Biden administration get some like new regulations to try and stop all this crypto scam and all money laundering
Yes.
and like on these unregulated markets only for Trump to come in and burn all that shit to
Crypto
the ground?
scams. You think that's what people are worried about? You think the average person gives a fuck about crypto scams?
You know, if the average person actually got
People care about their
fucked in a
jobs being
crypto scam-
outsourced. People care about their jobs being outsourced to fucking India.
Yeah, and guess
the
what?
normal
It's
people
doing
care about
worse
that.
now.
They care about
We're
manufacturing
doing
leaving the fucking
worse.
country,
We're
which
doing
actually happened
worse
as a result, by the way,
under
of
Trump,
fucking
we've lost
Clinton
more
policies.
manufacturing jobs than we had under Biden.
No one said
And you don't
that
think, and you think a
Trump
Republican is going to be
is-
better.
No one said that. What? No one said that.
In
No one
my
said
that's
that.
mind,
what you're
in my
being-
mind,
No,
that's what
it-
you're.
it-
Press-
in
no,
your-
real quick,
in
press-
your
press-
mind-
Okay,
Well,
okay,
let me
okay,
finish.
okay, gang. Just to
Let me just
remind
finish.
everyone what the current accusation by Doobie is that in economic issues and foreign policy issues, the Democratic
crime,
Party has
immigration
moved
too.
to the right since Clinton.
immigration too. Yeah.
Can I
Then
ask just
then
for
hold
like
on, hold on. No,
two or
let's be
three
clear.
solid
You said
examples
in your mind,
economics?
right? Hold on, but this is important because like Doobie and I absolutely don't believe this. You're saying in your mind you think leftists think, and actually I'm not going to speak for all leftists because you're going to bring up someone on Twitter who said something crazy. I don't care. Uh, uh, I don't care. The people you're talking to don't think Republicans will necessarily be better, right? So let's like remove that
That
from the conversation.
Can I say why? Can I just say I have a one sentence
Sure, go
reason as
ahead.
to why? The
Sure.
reason I feel that way is because in this current political climate, it's blue no matter who. In my opinion, if you're not blue no matter who, then you're for the Republicans at the end of the day. Now, you might not like what the Republicans are doing. You might not agree with anything that they're doing. But by not voting for whoever the Democratic nominee is in 2028, that is essentially what your action is. There's no difference in my mind between someone who just
So
doesn't vote for whoever the nominee is, barring that they're an alligator child rapist, then we gotta vote for whoever they are.
sure,
Because the
okay.
threat
So
of a sorry, yeah, sorry. I said I would be
no, no,
quiet.
no, 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 no,
I was
no.
gonna
It's
be
okay.
short
No,
and I wasn't. Sorry.
no, it's okay. No, no problem. And I also didn't mean to cut you off, so I apologize there. In any case, right? I think it's interesting that you guys say, well, the Democratic Party is not a cult, right? And then excuse me, said previously that he'd vote for a pedophile Democrat.
Why?
Like,
I actually
so
explained why.
no, no, no. I heard you. I heard your
What was my
reasoning.
answer though? What was my
No,
He
answer?
only
Why?
asked you that question so he could use it as a gotcha against you to
Yep.
make this
Yep.
dumb
I
It's
know.
pretty
fuck
easy.
point.
Gotcha,
But
right? Hey,
what
would
was
you
my
vote for a
rationale?
pedophile?
What
Is
was my
there no? So
rationale?
the reason why, sure, I understand your rationale. Right? I've talked to a bunch of liberals. You're not saying anything
Repeat it.
special, right? You're saying, hey, there, on the other side, we're going to lose democracy, right? Fascism is on the line, right? These are the things that are at stake, and so because of that, I'll vote for a pedophile. I heard you. Don't worry. I was listening. You're a liberal.
Yeah.
You all say the same things, so I
So
got
do
it.
you think I would
Any
vote
which
for that
way.
Yeah, I
pedophile
know,
Any
but-
because
which
he's a
way.
pedophile?
Any which way. Hold on. I'm going to continue on. Thank you. All right. The reason
Okay,
why I
it's
brought
fun,
that up,
slimy,
right,
but
is to talk
whatever.
about principles, right? And this is the difference between us, right? So Doobie and I, we do have a difference here, right? We aren't completely aligned, and that's okay. Doobie
Yeah,
was
you're
talking about
allergic
how
to pragmatism, we know.
big. Anyway, Doobie was saying that hey, within a swing state, he would vote for lesser of two
He
evils.
said most
I
likely,
wouldn't.
which means no.
Well, whatever. In any case, I say absolutely not. Right?
Yeah, and
Depending
you are like literally
on
you're worse
so
than the
yeah,
most cousin
yes,
fucking
I'm
MAGA
worse.
fan
I'm worse.
than
Exactly.
Okay,
So
well,
anywhere
let,
in
let
Alabama.
Prime finish your point, and then we're gonna let them.
no, I'm not
respond.
gonna. Hold on, you kept interrupting me. No, Wick, I'm not gonna finish.
I'm
my
allowing
point.
you to finish
I'm
your
gonna
point.
make my
I'm
point.
saying I'm giving you the mic.
Okay.
What do you want me to
Great.
do?
Thank you.
Jesus
I love you.
Christ! Come on.
I love
Why are
you.
you
Wick,
fighting
there's
me
no
when I'm
winning.
trying to help you?
There's
Yeah,
no
look,
winning.
sorry, you're beautiful, Wick. I apologize. So anyway, yes,
These are comfy.
it's about principles. It's about principles. Hey, like, do you have any standards? Right? Is there anything that can that will say this person is disqualifying? Is there anything at all? Well, as long as they are like they like, let's say they promise to kill 1,000. The Republican promises to kill 1,000 black people. Another one says 999 black people. You'd say, well, the other guy's like, this is not so bad, not quite as bad, and so I'll vote for him too. What I'm saying,
were your only
the
two
problem
options?
is,
Yeah.
the problem is okay, and here's the next part of this.
Yeah.
The problem, two problems. One is that there's always a focus, especially when we're talking to liberals, right? There's this focus in the end on the general election, right? Hey, the general election,
Yes.
it's make or break, right? Makes sense, right? Except that we have another half of the process, right? And that is the primary election. And that's where
Yeah.
I said that.
Hold
we
on,
said
hold on.
we
Well,
agree
oh my
with
God,
you.
please,
We agree
please,
with you.
guys,
Earlier, I said that
no,
if the
you shut up,
primary, you get to vote for whoever you want. It does not matter. In the primary, if you want to go for the most lefty person possible, I will support you. I will support. I will drive you to your polling place.
I'm going to keep talking.
But at the end of the day,
I will
blue no
talk
matter
over you
who
the entire
against JD
time.
Vance.
Excuse me. No, I'm going to finish my fucking point. Thank you. Shut the fuck up. All right.
No.
So back to it. The focus is constantly on the general election rather than the primary race, right? The primary race should be the focus, where we, of course, have these ideological battles. But secondly, right, and most importantly, is that that's where you have to push, right? That's where you have to demand demand standards be reached. If we say that we vote blue no matter who, if that's a standpoint that we go into, then what does it matter what the platform is, right? What does it matter who in particular takes the nomination and becomes the guy we send up, or girl, that lady, sorry, that we send up? None of that matters if we have a vote blue no matter who a stance, right? Instead, we should push.
Explain that.
Yeah, I do want to.
I don't get that.
I like.
Okay.
Just to
What part
interject
don't you
here, because I don't want to
Sure.
move off this point, because if we move off this point, we'll lose this point. That is a good question from Usurp. Can you explain why asking people to support whoever ends up being the Democratic nominee removes the ability to push a candidate
No incentive
one
to
way or
change.
the other?
No incentive to move away from the right. If we
Sure.
just didn't vote for them anyway.
So yes.
Wait.
So what
You
I'm saying
realize
is,
you can
this
press
vote
your
blue no
candidates
matter
when
who-
they get in office, even after they're in office, right?
But we don't. No, you don't. Sorry, I won't. I won't accept that, because I just lived through the Biden administration. I just lived
Am I,
through
like,
liberals,
stroking
right?
out?
Like the people here. Though I didn't know either of you, so I won't put words in your mouth, right? I'll talk about other liberals, right? Who criticize us, right? Like criticize us for criticizing them, for criticizing the Biden administration, for saying, "Hey, what the Biden administration is doing is awful," right? Like
No one cares
in
about
various
that.
sectors, having those criticisms. No, I do remember a few years ago. I remember the amazing fights we had on stream. This isn't a public, right? This wasn't hiding. I remember the criticisms of Hassan, right, for criticizing Biden, and it stems from this idea of vote blue no matter who. That you just gotta back the blue no matter what. It doesn't just extend to the general election. It's an all-consuming mindset,
No,
right?
it's
No,
not.
you're misunderstanding then, and you've
Okay,
lost
please
the
go
plot,
ahead.
because that is literally what we mean. Like in the very
Okay.
beginning, when this stream started, I was saying, hey, during your primary season, if you want to vote for fucking the most crazy tanky ever in your state to win that to win the primary in whatever state you live in, go for it. I don't give a shit. And I want a contested election in our Democratic primary. I want there to be somebody who's a little, not nearly as far left as you guys, but like we need that within the party to kind of make sure that we're going in the direction that the people that represent, the people that they would end up representing want them to go into. So that's why we have a primary process. It's blue no matter who doesn't start until the primary season's over. From the moment when the primary season's over and we have our nomination at the DNC convention, then it's blue no matter who. Only then. That's the thing. Like, I don't care about the primary. No one cares about the primary. Have fun.
Also, by the way, nobody cares if you are critical of the Democratic Party. That wasn't
Exactly.
the issue.
That's true. Yes. We
That's
just want you
not-
to vote
that's
for
not
them.
the
We just want you to vote.
problem.
At the end of the day, that's the only
Yeah.
thing that matters, because the only thing that matters in politics is winning fucking elections.
Great.
Yeah,
So,
like you have to rally your
people
audience and
weren't
make it clear.
critical of Hassan. Right. Oh, sorry.
Yes, because
I hate talking. I hate talking about other commentators, but I'll try to make this quick. People weren't critical of Hassan, right, for him being critical of Biden's Israel policy, right? Like
Yeah,
like no one
yes.
said anything
Because
about
what-
that. That was that a problem
Because
at the
Hassan's
time?
criticisms
Prime,
were
please, just real quick,
retarded.
just real quick.
Oh,
Prime,
he was
just real
retarded.
quick,
Ah,
just real
the only
quick,
retarded ones
just
are-
real quick,
okay.
just real quick. Prime Kai, are we not allowed to be critical of Hassan?
No.
No,
Friend,
don't talk about your leader.
Well, I can't. See, this is a double standard that I have a problem
Wait,
with.
no, wait,
is
wait,
you
hold on.
just
No,
went on a
no,
rant,
nobody just said.
complain. Let me
Wait,
finish.
I'm
Let me
trying to
finish,
answer your
and then I'll let
question.
you go. I promise.
Okay.
But you just went on a rant about how no one could criticize Biden during his term, and the far left was forbidden from
Hassan,
criticizing
sorry,
Biden.
for
But when
Biden.
we criticize the far left, you're like,
Oh
how
my
dare
God,
you?
Wick.
What are you
Wick,
doing?
No,
How
Wick.
could you
No,
possibly do this?
Wick,
and
that's
it's
not
just
what I was saying.
kind of crazy. But go ahead.
Wick, you're missing the point. Sorry, don't worry. You're missing the point because that's not what I said at all. You can be critical of anybody, right? You can be critical of Hassan. That's okay. I'm saying the pushback against him was for him being critical of Biden. I'm saying everyone should be critical of any politician. So,
that wasn't
Hassan,
why.
at the time, right? We had you and I had the arguments at the time about Hassan, about other people who were critical of Biden's Gaza policy, right? The point was, hey, he was a Democrat.
Wait,
he wasn't
let Prime finish, but
at
just
the time.
once he's finished,
yeah, for sure. Almost done. He wasn't up for re-election at the time, but still, the criticism came, hey, you can't do that, right? You have to back the book. This is going to weaken his position. You can't do that, right? And remember, there's always another election that's coming through. There's always going to be another election. So that mindset that you're going to weaken the Democrat for the next election, especially talking about the House,
do you think we were?
It's literally always present.
Yeah. Do you think that we were mad at Hassan because he was critical of Biden's Gaza policy? Do you think that was our criticism of Hassan when it comes to all that?
That was absolutely part of the
criticism. Yeah, that was a huge chunk, but absolutely.
My
absolutely
issue with...
Can I...
Go ahead, Clint.
No, let me say it, please.
That wasn't... I'll just say that wasn't my issue, but go ahead.
Yeah, but I have a feeling that I know what you're going to say, because I'm going to say it too. The reason why people were mad at Hassan about like being critical of Biden wasn't because he had like reasonable criticisms of Biden. It was because because he thinks that Hamas is based and he simps for terrorist organizations and he wants Israel to be destroyed. Yeah. And his criticisms were fucking insane. It wasn't like he was like, hey guys, you know what? I think that Biden should like, you know, be harder on Israel, and that like he should like reel them in some or whatever. He wasn't saying that. He was going all the way over to levels of insanity. If he had said that, nobody would have given a
like
fuck.
What? Hold on. Like what insane thing did he suggest Biden do?
Like
he wants an arms embargo. He wants literally.
That's reasonable. Why is that insane?
No, it's not. That's not
just to be clear. I don't want this to become an Israel.
Okay, it's not going to happen because there are people like you said in the way of it, right? But why is that insane? Why is it insane for him to say, "Hey, we should have an arms embargo until this to stop the violence"?
Also, that's not. Hold on, that's not the only thing that Hassan wanted.
You said insane. Okay? You said insane. Not realistic.
You know what was insane?
No, I'm asking her. She claimed that he had these insane criticisms of Biden about Israel. What were they?
If Usurp has the answer, go ahead.
No, she made the claim. Why can't she answer it?
Hassan doesn't just want an arms embargo. Hassan literally wants Israel to cease to exist as a country.
Okay, that's not true.
He wants America to invade Israel if they don't stop the genocide.
Hold on, you're just misrepresenting the shit that he's.
No, I'm not.
I've watched this stuff.
Can I give my opinion?
I've watched this
stuff.
stuff.
Take 20
right?
seconds.
So like, sure.
Yeah, give your opinion, Usurp.
I think that people were mostly mad at Hassan, not necessarily because he was criticizing Biden about his role in the Gaza conflict and the war there. I think most people were mad, at least I can say from my experience, was when he was saying, hey, it doesn't matter who the fuck you vote for because you're just getting the same thing. There's no, we don't know between Kamala or Trump. It's just going to be all the same for Gaza because, again, surprise, surprise, we get really upset when he talks about voting shit because he doesn't organize his fan base to vote. He doesn't influence them. He just uses his platform, one of the largest platforms for left-leaning political commentators online, to shit on the mainstream Democrats and complain about them, not 24/7. Like, when was the last time he had a stream where he was just, positive about things that Democrats were doing?
Okay, $10. Okay, just let me make a little money, then they can respond. Hold on, just real quick.
Let him make his money.
Let me make a little money, then I'll let the doobie. Not the doobie. I let Doobie and Primecayes respond. $5 from my listening library, YouTube, to say Prime rants are the best rants. Let Prime rant. Tune into Primecayes every Monday on YouTube. Thank you for the $5.
Thank you so much.
$10 from Lawson Harris.
Based advertising.
To say my criticisms of Piker is he's a fucking liar. Thank you.
That coming from Lawson is fucking crazy, to be honest with you.
A weaselly
but I don't leave that alone.
Liar.
Yeah, that's crazy coming from Lawson. But okay, so I wanted to touch on this earlier, but you keep bringing it up as if like Hassan has some kind of like an obligation to become a Democrat Party mouthpiece, right? Like around election season and push everybody to vote for the Democrat. You're shaking your head, but that is what you seem to be saying, right? That he has a responsibility, an obligation.
You said mouthpiece. I thought you were going to say like, oh, you have to agree with everything they're doing. But
no,
when you
I mean, he has a
voting,
responsibility to say, hey, go vote for the Democrat, right?
Yes.
But I think, as I said at the start, I think this is a scapegoat. I think that the real issue here is party messaging failures. It's their failure to get young people excited to go out and vote for them. Their failure to earn any credibility. All of this are issues with. I mean, if you're relying on a fucking Twitch streamer to get people excited to go out and vote for you, there's a massive fucking problem, right? So I think the real issue here again is that the party is shit at reaching out to the people that Hassan speaks to. One second, and earlier guys were implying that this is like such a small group of people in the first place. So why the fuck are you mad at him for talking to such a tiny group of people that you probably don't even think are like have any impact on elections anyway? Right? So he's got his little bubble of people who you guys don't think matter in elections anyway. You're not interested in getting them excited to vote. You're not interested in earning their votes. You just want to demand the votes around election time and get them to fall in line. And I think that's an easy way to generate contempt in these people for you. It's going to push people from the Democrat Party tent and make them far less likely to give a fuck what you say about anything.
Okay, while we often talk about Hassan, we do that because he's the largest political, like, left-leaning influencer online. And we could also just assume that Hassan is shorthand for all these far-left influencers and commentators online. We just take on time to list out all the other people. And I'm not going to bring up somebody like fucking Denims or Mike from PA, because who gives a shit at the end of the day about them? But what I'm trying to say is that we don't need him to actually just toe the party line. We just need him to understand the potential negative outcomes of what he's doing. And that is what we're critical of him for, because for him, he seems unaffected if Trump is president. Like, if Trump becomes president and really starts fucking shit up, he's fine. He has enough money to fly him and his entire family back to fucking Turkey or wherever else he wants to go in the world, and he gets to escape all the possible bad outcomes. And I don't want him necessarily just to like be a complete suck up to it. But when people call you out and say, hey, maybe you should have done a little bit more to actually influence the election, because while he wasn't able to single-handedly tip the election in Kamala's favor, I don't think anyone's ever said that. What he was able to do is just get a couple people here and there to possibly vote, because these elections aren't lost by large margins a lot of the times. I mean, if you break out the swing states, it's what, like 80,000 votes is what the difference was at the end of the day. Like, it's really small. So like Hassan isn't controlling 500 million people, 300 million people in the country, but him, along with everybody else, your Crystal Balls, your Kyle Kalinskis, your, all of those other
Majority
people,
Report.
if all of those people said, hey, listen, guys, it fucking sucks. We're not getting our guy in a primary lost, but the good thing is we had a good showing in the primary. So hopefully next time we can build on this momentum. But guys, right now we have to vote blue no matter who, because the other option is death camps. Because you know what? I was going to say that's a joke, but ICE is literally buying detention, spending billions of dollars in detention centers all over the country. I'm sorry?
You sound crazy when you say this. They're not going to build death camps.
Are they buying I'm not gonna say that. Are they buying detention facilities?
Sure.
All over the
They've
country.
got a lot of people detained. Yeah. So I'm sure rather than keep them in like warehouses like Obama did, they want to build a camp for them somewhere so they can keep them detained in these centers.
And you think it just ends there?
I don't think they're going to be fucking holocausting the illegal immigrants.
Do you have the Holocaust them to be bad?
I don't think there'll be death camps. I'm sure there'll be detainment centers. I'm sure we'll disagree with that tactic. But I think when you talk about death camps, you sound fucking crazy, right? So like, you're hurting yourself.
But first of all, your opinion on me doesn't matter to me.
Well, when I say yourself, I mean your side of the aisle. Because Republicans,
stop. Let Usurp finish. Usurp, go ahead.
If the day before the election, we were having this exact same conversation, and we were talking about the same thing about I wish Hassan would have actually pushed for more to possibly help get Kamala elected. And if I had said, dude, if Trump gets elected, he's going to increase ICE's budget by billions of dollars to be like the fifth most, to have a budget higher than the U.S. Marines. And with that money, they were going to be buying detention centers all across the country to put people in camps, including American citizens, because unfortunately, American citizens and people who have been here illegally have been in those camps, and they're expanding them now. You would have said the exact same thing to me back then.
That's
you
not
said,
true.
I'm fucking
Trump
crazy.
is open about this. Trump is very open about his plan to expand ICE and to deport all the illegal immigrants. In fact, that's why many people voted for him. So I don't. That's not crazy.
I think you're lying to
Death
yourself
camps is
there.
crazy.
I think that's
no,
copium.
that's silly.
I think
Death camps is
it's-
crazy, right? So,
If-
and I think
well,
when I
and
say
you
when I
think
say
there
you're
are-
hurting yourself,
how about
I
one more?
don't mean
if,
I don't mean
if
you
I would have said
specifically.
the exact same time before that there were going to be armed, masked, anonymous goons that answer only to Donald Trump running around American
ICE?
cities and kidnapping people, masked, armed, and anonymous.
Okay.
You would have
I'm
called
sure,
me fucking
hold on.
crazy, right?
No, because what you're describing right now is exactly what Trump was saying he would do on the campaign trail, which is mass deportation.
Yeah,
policy
mass deportations is fine.
Wherever they are, right?
It doesn't matter. That's not what I'm asking you.
I don't think.
Question.
Wait, hold on. I don't think them wearing masks to conceal their identity because they have activists going after them, whatever the fuck, is like a crazy thing to say. I wouldn't have said you're crazy for that. What I do think is crazy is death camps, right? And when I say that you're hurting yourself, I don't mean you're hurting yourself personally, right? I'm sure you say crazy shit all the time online. I mean, when somebody on the center right, somebody's a moderate, like an actual moderate, or like a Republican sees you say that, they think, oh, this guy's just fucking crazy. He just has TDS, and they ignore everything you say. So just avoid the hyperbolic, crazy statements. I think it's just harmful.
I'm not going to take advice from someone with a fucking hammer and sickle in his background, number one.
What's wrong with the hammer and sickle?
It's bad. Number two,
Why?
what I was talking about earlier, when you're lying to yourself and to everybody else. If you would have said that in 2024, right after the election, I was sitting there being like, guys, I think this can get really bad. I know he's going to say mass deportations, but I mean, even under Obama, we had a lot of deportation, but I think it's going to be a lot worse this time because I think there's going to be these guys in bulletproof
He was explicitly arguing for this. This was his position.
Was he arguing
mass
for putting
deportation all over the fucking country?
No, he was saying we had mass deportations before under Obama, and it was nothing like this. Right?
Okay, he was saying to go much further than Obama. Hold on.
But he didn't. But if I said, this is how far I think he'd go. I think he's going to go so far as to increase the ICE budget to more than the U.S. Marines get, and he's going to allow those people.
Mass deportation.
He's going to allow those people to go around with no badges, no ID, their masks covered, for some reason wearing flak jackets and carrying AR-15s like they're kicking in doors in Fallujah, and they're going to just be disappearing people, and then those people are going to be flown all over the country so their family members don't even know where they are until they end up in fucking South Sudan. You would have called me crazy. And again, going back to the death camp, you're lying. And going back to my death camp thing, I'm not saying that it's 100% possibility. It's obviously not. I can't see into the future. I'm not clairvoyant. But what I can say is that it's a possibility. Yeah, and if you don't think it's a possibility, I think we go back to my answer that you guys don't think Trump is that bad.
Can I just ask you, Doobie, what would you consider CCOT, if not maybe death camp? Might be the wrong word, but a rape camp. They were sent there to be
calling it a rape camp is silly.
I mean,
I don't think he sends people there to be raped. I think that's
what
also
happened
silly.
when he sent people.
Hold on, I understand that some people are raped in prison in like detention centers. I get that happens, but to say he's sending people there to be raped in a rape camp is ridiculous. Hold on, I get it.
Hold on, just to be clear, what he did.
But I don't think.
Just stop, Doobie. Just to be clear, what he did. He took people with no criminal records. He rounded them up. He put them on a plane. He sent them to a foreign country, which was known for human rights abuses, to a prison which he then said we can't get people out of, who denied those prisoners any rights that they would be due under the American system, and they were brutalized, beaten, and raped. That's what happened. So it's not exactly hyperbolic to say. Hyperbolic. Right?
It is.
That these things are concentration camp-esque.
No, they're fucking prisons. It's a prison.
No,
hold on, it's like a maximum security prison.
Even in World War
Hold on, I get it. Prison's bad and bad things happen to prisoners.
Treblinka.
I get it. I'm not saying this is a good thing, but to say that he's sending people there to be raped in a rape camp is ridiculous. It's a maximum security prison in another country.
He's sending there because he doesn't give a shit.
I get that it's bad. Most Americans also don't give a shit. That's why they voted for him. They wanted mass deportations. They don't give a fuck where these people go after they get out of the country. What they want is for these people to be gone. You say, oh, they have no criminal record. But to the Trump supporter, to the Republican, coming to the country illegally is enough for them to say that you're a criminal, right? So they don't give a fuck about that. They want these people out for lots of different reasons. Some racist, some not racist, some like economic. And that was what Trump promised them, and that's what he's doing. So if you're saying, oh well, he's going to do what he promised to do, but he's going to have them wear masks and carry like AR-15s, that's not crazy to me, right?
I guess we'll find out.
What you're suggesting, he's building fucking death camps in the United States. That is not happening. That's fucking crazy.
Coming into okay, so you think it's an impossibility?
Yes. Yeah, I think there's a 0% chance that happens.
Why?
I think that Trump and I think the political establishment would not stand for that. I don't even the craziest Democrat wouldn't allow that. The craziest Republican wouldn't allow that. I think the average U.S. citizen wouldn't allow fucking death camps. Wouldn't allow death camps in the United States
in a situation like that.
It absolutely okay.
I'm sure that
it's not whether or not it applies. It's about whether or not people would be there with their fucking guns shooting the guards at the death camp. I don't think people would put up with a fucking death camp in the U.S. I just don't. That's ridiculous.
All right, Doobie.
So just to be clear, last year, 2025, had the most deaths of the entire ICE history of existence within their not death camps. More people died in 2025 than have died in the entire history of.
How many people? Wait, how many people are we talking?
How many people? I got to make sure it's a number I care about.
No, just tell me. Like, be honest. How many people?
I think it was 36.
Oh shit! Death camps. Okay, yeah. I don't think we're I don't think we're there yet.
Did
okay?
I say that?
I get that ICE. Hold on. Yes, you did. You said death camps. I get that
ICE. That we have death camps now.
Please,
retard.
No, you said that he's building death camps. Right?
No,
he's buying up this land. He's building. Yeah, I get it. But you said
nuance is
annoying,
isn't it?
No, it isn't. I'm responding to what you said, and then you defended it as if it's a possibility. So again, I think that obviously ICE being more active right now is going to lead to more confrontations with the police, especially because we have some people resisting, the same people, and I think more people would also be resisting death camps, by the way. Yes, more incidents like this are going to happen, sure. I don't think we're at the level where we need to start talking about fucking death camps. I think that's ridiculous.
I'm not.
Now moving all the way back.
Hold on, $5 from Robert Paulson. His name is Robert Paulson. Okay. Doobie, Sir Tard. If everyone supported how Trump is using ICE, and that's why they voted for him, why is ICE and Trump's approval so low now?
I didn't say they supported how he's currently using ICE. What I've said is that they supported mass deportation. Right? I don't think the average person. Please. I don't think even the average Trump supporter thought that he would go as far as he is right now.
Would they have called you crazy?
That's the point.
Hold on. No. That was Usurp's whole point. You understand that, David? That was Usurp's whole point.
Okay.
Thank
again,
you. Oh my God.
You're not following at all what I'm saying. Right. So when I say as far as
you're
going now,
what you're saying. I think words are falling out, and you're just catching up with them.
Okay. When I say as far as he's going right now, I don't mean he wasn't going to do mass deportation. I mean, people have problems with the mask. People have problems with Pam Bondi lying, calling people domestic. Please stop. Too. I don't think the average Republican cares about CCOT.
I'm not talking about the average Republican. I'm talking about overall Americans. People are disgusted with how brutal and cruel all of this has been.
Wait, hold on. How many people even give a fuck about CCOT? Like, how many people give a fuck? I feel like
enough so that they had to get our Abreu Garcia back.
Yeah, they put enough pressure that they tried to get as many people back as possible. It was a huge scandal. A lot of Republicans turned on him over this. Yeah. It was really bad.
Trump had to look like a bitch because he originally said, "I can't do it," and then a month later he's like, "Okay."
I think you guys are overhyping how many people care about CCOT or care about Abreu Garcia. I think honestly, most of that was coming. Most of that was coming for the Democrats, and I think that's good. I think it's good for the Democrats to push against that for sure. But I think you guys are overplaying how. God, sure, a lot of independents were against this, sure. But I think you guys are overselling how many people in the Republican Party, or even how many independents are like opposed to this. I think a lot of people want mass deportation, right? A lot of people don't like the way that ICE is handling it right now. And when I say that, I mean they don't like ICE coming to cities, rolling in, essentially occupying cities, pushing people around, acting like assholes, kicking in doors, violating the Fourth Amendment, all kinds of shit that they're doing, right? They don't like that kind of stuff. They don't like the Trump. They don't like watching somebody die and then having Pam Bondi go on TV and lie about what they just watched, right? They don't like that kind of shit.
But you knew all that, or you would have assumed all of that was going to happen the day after the election.
Hold on. I assume that Trump would be doing mass deportations. Yes.
We all agree with you there. That's
saying.
Not my question. My question was, would you have thought that would you have foreseen the way he would do mass deportations?
No. Hold on. Well, Yes
Thank
and no.
you. Holy
Hold on, wait
shit.
1 second. Yes and no. I think I foresaw. I think I even we talked about this on your panel once, Prem. Foresaw, ICE going door to door, and to where I think I mentioned they had like illegal immigrants in California, for example, signing up for driver's licenses, which means they had to give an address and mark down that they're illegal. And I said that ICE was going to use this to go exactly where these illegal immigrants are. Now that they've told the government where they are, they're going to pick them up at home.
Yes.
I think this was foreseeable.
No one is disagreeing.
Hold on, but hold on, but it is within. But that and the masks and them having AR-15s is all within like the I think I guess I'm going to call it an Overton window, right? The spectrum of reasonable things that you would expect to happen. Death camps is not within that spectrum. Yeah, death camps is not within that spectrum. I'm sorry.
I see. Because here's the thing. Even if, like, hypothetically, in a future world where the MAGA wins another election, and then we do all these camps, these hundreds of camps, not hundreds, I think dozens right now, going up around the country. One's like a freaking hour and a half from me. That there's going to be like kind of like really bad shit happening. We might not even know what's going on in some of the camps, which I think is like kind of what's happening now in some of the detention centers. And just because there isn't a crematorium set up and there aren't mass graves where people are getting shot in the back of the head like they were on the steppe in 1942, you're going to say, see, they're not death camps by definition. And if you thought that I meant,
are you implying that they're going to kill people in these camps?
No,
Well, they
is
have.
that the only way it could be bad?
This is hold on. They have guards murdered a guy in one of these camps.
Okay.
in
Yes.
2025.
Yes.
And what happened to those guards?
But shit like this happens in any prison, any detention facility. Things like this happen. What I'm talking
What
when I say
happened to the two guys that
please,
killed-
when I say wait, hold on. I think clearly when I say, do you think they're going to be killing people in these camps? I'm talking about like a policy of like murder, right? That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about two guards murdering a guy.
Then maybe when I said death camps, I'm thinking I'm using that in a different way, where I'm saying essentially, hey, these are going to be camps where people are going to fucking die in them and no one's going to care and we're not going to know what happens in them. And it might turn out that, like, hey, 270 people died over the course of a year in this one camp, and there's 28 of these all across the country. Like, those would be, I guess, quote unquote, maybe death camp was too strong of a word, and I'm sorry that I used that one.
I think concentration camp is would probably be.
So
a good
no,
word
actually,
because of that,
I know what you
I just
mean.
do want to. I do want to make sure, even though I do like this topic.
I feel like we're moving really far from the topic.
We are the ICE debate. We
Yeah,
can have an ICE debate another
That's
day.
true. That's
right?
true. That's true.
I
That's
just
true.
wanna-
No, sorry.
I want to ask a question.
Ask your question.
Can I ask a?
Go ask your question.
Okay, I want to ask a question. This brings us back to the topic. I just want to ask, I guess, to get to the heart of this, Prime, Doobie, you can each answer this in order or whatever. Why wouldn't you vote? What's your problems with Gavin Newsom? Why wouldn't you vote for him? He's a pretty progressive dude.
You want to go first or Prime? You want me to go first?
Okay. Yes. You go first, sorry.
So I live in California. To be clear, I have a slight bias against Gavin Newsom, not more than slight actually. So my first experience with Gavin Newsom was around the time California was voting for on gay marriage, right? This is around the time actually that I left the Republican Party, and there was this ad that the Republicans used because Gavin Newsom gave his speech. And it was like, gay marriage is happening, whether you like it or not. And he was very fucking smug, very smug. He came off like a smug bitch, right? In this fucking ad, in the speech that he gave. And the Republicans blasted this ad everywhere. And I remember seeing at the time that there was like an article that tracked this, and that ad was the reason California we lost that vote. Right, the gay marriage didn't get passed in California.
What year was this? Sorry.
So
it was Proposition 8. It was like in the early 2000s.
Yeah. So I've disliked him since then, right? Because I blame him for that. But that being said, I think he's since he's been governor, he's done a lot of shit that I just find to be corrupt. Very typical. He reminds me of like a Nancy Pelosi Democrat. Actually, I think he came up in the what do they call it? The family in San Francisco. Right? When I say the family, there's like a group of like Democratic families, very high influential families that Gavin Newsom is connected to. And it just comes off as like a typical liberal elite type, right? And when he's pushing policy, I think he does things to benefit the corporate friends, lobby interests. There's an example of this off the top of my head when we were pushing like minimum wage increases in California, right? And he made a big deal about we're going to sign this law to increase California's minimum wage over time. And in that bill, they made sure to include an exclusion or a cutout for restaurants or fast food chains that had a bakery in them, right? And why would they do that? So fucking random. Well, if you look into it, you'll find that one of Gavin Newsom's biggest contributors was the person who owns Panera Bread. So I think things like this, and there are a lot of examples like this, where he's just, I think, corrupt, very corrupt guy. I'd rather not vote for the dude. I don't think he's like evil or something. He's just a typical corporate Democrat that I'm just not interested in supporting.
I guess I'll grant you everything that you just said. Just because I honestly don't know if you're like, obviously I'm not caught up in Prop 8 and whatever that bakery shit is, but can we just still say that even if he did all those really bad things, California is probably the best state in the country if you're trans to live in?
I'm not trans. Trans are a tiny percentage of the population.
I'm sorry.
Or
I hope you didn't
Sure.
imply- Or
woman?
any LGBT or woman, like it's probably one of the safer states in the country.
I don't
to live
know,
in.
but sure, I'll give you one of the safer states for sure.
Yeah, and
but
like
yeah, so I'm not.
This is like kind of one of the like what bothers me. It's like if it's not perfect enough, you're not getting my vote, and we have.
I don't think we should be organizing politics around like 1% of the population or less than 1% of the population.
No, I agree.
It's not just about that.
It's like it's the whole all or nothing. It's either like you need to give me everything I want for, or you can't earn or count on my vote. And again, if Trump never ran in 2016 and in 2028 we're going up, like it would have been a weird mixture of a Mitt Romney and John McCain candidate, I think we'd be in a better position to be able to have these conversations about where we want the Democratic Party to go. But again, like the Statue of Liberty has a fucking gun to her head right now. And on the other hand of it is three hands holding it. One's Donald Trump, one's J.D. Vance, and one's Stephen Miller. And they're just itching to be able to pull that trigger and fucking destroy the,
I think
like the fucking liberal democracy we have.
I think it's very odd that you bring up trans individuals in this context, right? One, I support our trans brothers and sisters in our LGBT. I support our LGBT brothers and sisters altogether. But you saying, well, we should. It sounded like maybe I don't want to put words in your mouth, so let me try it this way, right? It sounded like you were saying, well, because I guess presumably due to Newsom's leadership. I guess that's the implication of your question, that due to his leadership, that things are better in California for trans people than anywhere else. I'll run with that. I'm not sure that's the case, but I'll run with that. Yeah. So
yes.
So
that's the case.
Okay. Great. I'm not trying to fight you on that.
Him and the
Calm
Democrats.
Down.
Yes.
Calm down. Not trying to fight you on that. Thank you. Right. Any which way. Right. So it sounded like the implication of your question was, your statement was that because of his leadership and that made conditions so good for trans individuals that we should vote for Gavin Newsom, right? Was that the implication, or maybe not?
I kind of said it for like a few reasons. One is like, while the bakery shit, like I granted everything that Doobie said, and it's like, while yes, every politician is going to have done something that's going to really bother you, right? But at the end of the day, like one of the important things that the Democratic Party has been focusing on the past 10 or so years is marginalized people and making sure that they're treated right. And I think like trans people and LGBTQ people have been kind of the focus of it. For the main reason they've had the focus on them is because Republicans have they're so horny.
And I acknowledge
that.
Okay. Yeah, I hear you. So I figured that's why you would say something like that.
Yeah, so it's like
so I'm going to ask you. Okay,
perfect. Like, yeah, could I just finish?
I get
perfect,
your
he's good.
I understand. That's not the point of me. Well, whether it's perfect or not, that's not what I'm asking. So like it sounds like, hey, this is the reason why we should vote for him. Like despite everything. Hold on. I'm not talking to you. Right? I'm talking to you, sir. I'm curious about his thoughts here. So it sounds like despite all the other things that may be bad that you might be bringing up, or I might be bringing up, right? Like, hey, because that he's doing this thing, and it's a good thing, right? I'm for it. That we should vote for him. And if that's the case, right? What if he didn't do that? What if instead he was the opposite of that, right? And he said like, yeah, he had a big problem with trans people, but he still won the Democratic nomination. You would say you'd still vote for him anyway, right?
if let me just make sure I get this.
Sure.
I understand this correctly. Let's say it was Gavin Newsom hypothetical versus JD Vance, and Gavin Newsom is the same person, but he didn't pass like the 5 or 7 pieces of legislation.
He passed things to hurt trans people specifically.
To hurt people specifically, I would still vote for. I would still vote for him. Yeah, absolutely.
So that's why it's weird for me that you bring it up in that fashion.
I'm sorry.
Can I explain
why? Yeah. No, I understand why. Now I can understand why you would feel like that. Like, oh, I don't believe in it. I brought that up just because
I'm not
honestly,
saying you don't believe in it. To be very clear,
I know what you mean.
I just want to be very clear because what my criticism is.
Okay,
right?
yeah.
I'm not trying to call you a bad guy, right?
No,
I'm not trying
I
to
know.
say that
We can
you're a
skip all this part,
disingenuous
but
person. But this is important so he understands. So not that you're disingenuous, but this is the whole mindset that I'm criticizing. The whole point that I'm here for, right, is that like we should have principles that we stand on. It could be a principle that like, hey, I back my trans brothers and sisters, and and I can't be voting for people who hurt them. That's okay, and that's fine, right?
I do,
but it doesn't sound like that's actually part of what you're saying. Go ahead.
The reason I brought that up is because honestly, like before this debate, I was reading about some of the stuff that Gavin Newsom had done, and the 7 trans bills was stuck in my mind, and it's an easy thing that everybody knows about.
Let him finish talking. Let someone finish talking.
Let Usurp finish, then Kalinda, you can go, and I'll give you the mic,
Kalinda,
and I'll give you the floor.
Sorry,
I promise.
I'm eager to say something else.
Sorry, it's
Usurp,
like
go ahead.
I do have like my guiding principle in this next election, and I think our guiding principles for every election kind of change as we grow older and we learn more, and what matters to us more is, changes over time. And my guiding principle for this election is just making sure that the Republicans do not win. They can't win, because I don't know what's going to happen to this country if they do win. So right now, that's why I'm so. You can meet me, like we can never meet again. We run to the street each other in 10 years. Like, yo, what's up, Prime? What's up, Usurp? Like, who are you voting for? Like, I don't know, man. I might vote for. I have no idea who I'm going to vote for this year, because the stakes aren't as high. If the stakes weren't where they are today, if we were running against John McCain, I don't think I would be going blue no matter who. Because while I don't agree with a lot of John McCain's political, like what he wants to do, I don't think he's an illiberal fascist who would be okay with tearing down American democracy.
Okay, I wanna give the mic to Kalinda. She's wanted to say some things. The floor is yours.
Sorry. Yeah. Doobie, I don't know why you're saying that. You're wrong about the Panera Bread shit. It's not true. That's not true.
That's not
the exemption
true.
was for
It is
small bakeries. No, it's not.
Yes, it is. You should Google this. It is true.
I did Google it.
Hold on. It was a massive scandal. Okay.
Let Kalinda finish her point. I got to give her some time. Give her some floor. Go ahead, Kalinda. Finish. Why isn't it true? I guess. Explain it.
Because it's not. That's not. I don't even know where this claim came from. I found this article here. Bloomberg reported that bakery claims Panera would be exempted from California's AB 1228, a law that raises the minimum wage for fast food workers $16 to $20 an hour April 1st. But now it looks like that may not be the case. On February 29th, a spokesperson for Governor Gavin Newsom told the Los Angeles Times that Panera would not be exempt from the law. The spokesperson also denied the claim that in the Bloomberg piece, which cited sources close to the matter, that's in quotes, that Newsom pushed for an exemption that applied to businesses that bake bread and sell as a standalone item, calling the report absurd. Like, it's not. There were exemptions for like family-run small business bakeries, but Panera is obviously a huge chain, so that's not the same thing.
Okay, so you have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. So when you say, "Oh, I don't even know where this claim came from," this was a massive scandal in California, like a huge scandal. For a long time, and this was leading up to the bill.
Bloomberg piece.
No, not just from the Bloomberg piece. This was fucking everywhere in California. This is a huge scandal, right? So eventually, I think they did say that the exemption wouldn't apply. But if you look at the language of the bill that they were proposing, that he was going to sign, clearly they would have been exempt, right? And it was so bad that the owner, the California franchisee of Panera Bread, this guy that was giving away a ton of money. He said, "Hey, yeah, we are exempt, but we're going to pay the $20 minimum wage anyway," right? So there was a clear exemption. After they got a shit ton of pushback because it was public, because it got a lot of publicity, they said, "Oh, well, actually, they're not going to be exempt," right? Like, so just saying that it's not true is ridiculous. You don't know what you're talking about.
What we want from our politicians?
I want them to not be corrupt in the first place.
Well,
Right? And
yeah,
this
and I
isn't the
also
only
want fucking
example.
sun-
That's not a
ice
ton
cream
of like
every day, and not shit my
no bid
pants the next
contracts are in
morning, but
COVID,
we
right? A
want
ton of no bid
politicians-
contracts for his donors are in COVID. There's a ton of shit, a ton of things
Because they're
along
not
this line.
perfect, you can't support them.
No, I just said I could support him. I said that if I'm going to say where it matters, I will vote for him. But I prefer not. But I prefer not to vote for someone who I think is corrupt. And I think Gavin's
agree.
corrupt.
I
Well,
think we-
instead,
I think
hold on,
typical
instead of the voting
corporate
thing,
Democrat.
Doobie, would you, even if you lived in California where it didn't matter, would you encourage people to vote for Newsom in a Newsom versus JD Vance?
In states where it matters, yeah, of course.
Okay. What do you have a problem
I
with
just
that?
I was just
Usurp,
avoid.
just real quick.
I just
Is that
sure.
satisfactory to you and
If-
Kalinda?
If
you
he's
would do
telling
that?
the truth, yeah, if he's telling the truth and he was out there like in the lead up to the election saying, hey guys, I might not vote because I live in this one specific circumstances. But if you live in a purple state, if you live in a state where it's even the slightest possibility that Trump wins, if you don't vote for him, I don't ever want to see you in my chat again because you're dead to me. Like I would be totally okay with that. Yeah. 100%.
I would be okay with that, with adding on the caveat that that he did encourage his viewers or his people in his politics server or wherever, like any people he has influence over, to make sure that they do go vote Democrat
Yeah.
down ballot, because that does
that goes
matter,
without
even
saying,
in
yeah.
California. Especially if you live in like a purple or a potentially possibly red district.
So, yeah. Moving back to the question on Newsom, I'm actually not like I don't have as hard of a stance on Newsom as maybe our friend Doobie has. He seems quite slimy to me, and he doesn't have my politics, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I wouldn't vote for him. I would wait to the election and I would judge him there. And I would say, well, sorry, I wouldn't wait till election. No, I would do
Oh, shit.
the thing that I'm advocating for, right? Is that let's say that we have a group of individuals running for the nomination. I'd be pushing for my policies, whatever they may be, right? Moving them there. And then I would judge on which candidates, have those policies, and that's where I would place my nomination vote. Now, after the nomination, whoever gets that, let's say it's Newsom, right? If there is something that is a principle for me, a deal breaker, then I wouldn't vote for him. But it depends, right? So I'd have to judge him at the time. I understand that people move, right? So right now, like, I would really not prefer Gavin Newsom, but 3 years is a long time in political life, and
Can I
so
ask
I'd
one
wait
question?
till then. Go ahead, sure.
But just based on what you said, like, and I think this is where I have a disconnect with some people that are on the far left, because like you said, basically, if I would vote for Newsom unless there was something that went against, like, something that just broke my moral character,
Deal breaker.
disagrees with it. Is there anything like I can't picture anything that does that more than the threat of another Republican presidency, in my mind.
Right.
Like that is
I'll tell
the
you what.
worst. So yeah, I like that's why I think it's like that's why I say blue no matter who, because it has to be, because the only other outcome is just so horrible. So I'm curious what it could be that you would be able to possibly throw away American like liberalism and democracy.
So I reject that framing to throw away American liberal and democracy, right? To be clear, no politician, I know we're going to have a big disagreement on this, no politician is over my vote. None of them. Not any of them. Not a single one of
I
them
don't
is over
think
my
I
vote.
agree with you.
Oh, okay, that's good, but that's interesting for a person who says vote blue no matter who. But you can
Because
expand on
of
that
the
later on.
situation that we
But
happen to find ourselves in today.
Yeah, but that still
So
means
you do think
that,
there?
like, that
What?
my vote should absolutely go to a Democrat. Doesn't matter who they are. They are
In this
owed-
election, yes.
You want to say the word owed my in this day and age? Okay.
Yeah,
So
because like
right
I said, if
now,
it was a
they're owed my
John
vote.
McCain kind of
If it was a
person,
John
I wouldn't
McCain,
be saying
okay.
that.
Yeah. So like, if you live through enough elections,
John McCain is worse than
like,
Trump in some ways.
let's not make the fight. Let's not make the fight right now because it's just gonna be a different
That
one.
was
But
probably
I
the
have
dumbest thing you've
I have-
ever said in your
I have
entire life.
thoughts on
dude.
John
No,
McCain.
we would have gone to
That's
war
absolute
with Iran.
fucking-
Hold on, let's not-
Yeah, that's
let's
because
go back.
Doobie doesn't have a
Hold on,
base.
hold on.
foreign
No,
policy.
let
Bullshit.
Prime finish his point. Then I have a question for Prime.
I'm sorry,
Let-
Prime. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I have a question for
Sure.
Prime after he's finished.
Yeah,
Go
I'll
ahead.
I'll finish quickly, right? So yeah, it's in the end, right? One, I think there's just always another existential crisis, right? And I don't think we can even expect the Republicans to get better, right? To break the fever in the future.
They will
I
after
think
the
this
trials.
is just. I think just who they are, and so like it sounds like there'll always be an excuse in the future for me. But in any case, right? Like it matters to me. Like if there is something I feel that is sacred, that is sorry, hold on, let me refresh that because people were interrupting me. Fuck, I'm sorry, I lost it. Come back to me.
Okay, well, I have a question for you, Prime. Right? Like, say one of these things that you hold sacred, right? Like these ideas, these principles that you take a stand on, you will not budge no matter what, right? You won't vote for someone who violates these principles. Okay. I'm assuming you have more than one principle, correct?
1 second. Yes, I have many principles. Yes. But they're not all up for like. They are not all politically relevant at all points in time. You
Well,
understand
sure,
what I mean?
sure. We're talking in the context of this conversation. Obviously, we're talking about the ones that apply to political candidates and voting in general, right?
Sure.
So we don't have to go through the other ones. If you have a candidate and a choice of two candidates, and one violates, they both violate your principles, but one violates one principle while the other violates 10, right? Why would you allow those 10 principles to be violated because you didn't want to violate one?
No. Sorry. Okay. So it reminds me of my of what I was going to say previously. So thanks for helping jog my memory. So it's not about voting against the consequence. I'm not being consequentialist here, right? I'm not voting against Republicans, right? I'm voting for my principles. I'm saying that like you have to meet a certain threshold, and my thresholds are very low, extremely low, like basement floor low. Hey, don't support a genocide. That's one, right? If you don't do that, you don't support a genocide, right? Or an ethnic cleansing campaign, if that makes you feel better about it, right? If you don't support that, I'm going to vote for you. I voted Democrats my entire life. I keep voting for Democrats, and I'm excited to vote for a Democrat in the future. But hey, if you support an ethnic cleansing campaign, that's a disqualifier for me. Hey, if you are a pedophile, I can safely say, Usurper can't say this, but I can safely say I wouldn't vote for you, right? Like these are basement floor standards, right? So if a Democrat can clear just that, right? I'm not talking about like top marginal tax rates, right? I'm not talking about necessarily abolish ICE, because there might be other ways to deal with the ICE problem. I think we should abolish ICE, but there might be other ways to deal with that issue, right? Just basic things. Don't be a pedophile. Don't support an ethnic cleansing campaign.
So
Seems pretty simple.
One question on this one. So here's like my issue is if we want to tie in Gaza into this. I understand how the left can say like how I couldn't vote for Biden or for Kamala because of their position during the Israeli-Gaza war. And I think what a lot of us were saying in the lead up to the election when you guys were telling us that is we were saying, hey, like we understand that you guys might not agree with how they're handling this war, but we think that Trump's going to be even fucking worse at that.
Yeah.
So if that is something that's really so important to you, like I understand it's not ideal and you wish that your party wasn't doing that.
Did you hear what I said?
But you're kind of,
I already addressed that. Like,
but what you're doing, but like right
right
now, like today, yeah, and I understand it. So like, but this is where I'm going. So yeah, like one, it goes against one thing versus 10 things, and I get it. But like,
no, that's not what I. No, that's what he said. That's not. I pushed against that.
Yeah,
right?
that's look.
Yeah, I
just
rejected his
to
framing.
make it clear, at least my position here, and I'll be brief, and then I'll give it back to you, Prime.
Yeah.
I would vote for someone who I knew was going to do a genocide, if I knew that failing to vote for them would cause 3 genocides. I would, again, not like it. It wouldn't be fun for me. I would hold my nose. But if I knew voting one way would get me one genocide, but not voting or voting the other way would get me 3 genocides, I'm going to vote against the 3 genocides every time.
Because I think
Can I ask you-
today
can I ask you
the
another
Guardian
question,
came
Luke?
out.
Oh,
Wait.
hold on.
Doobie. I'm sure Doobie will be back soon.
Yeah.
But he's outside. Doobie.
Wait.
If both candidates,
You mean
right,
Wick?
both your choices.
I thought you meant outside your room. I was like, you guys are roommates?
Oh no.
That would be
so
funny if he
confused.
just showed up.
That would
That
be-
would be really
that'd be
cool.
I
great.
was like, what
Yeah.
the fuck?
That would
Well,
be
okay,
great.
ask
I
your
would love
question.
to
Ask your
be-
question. Go ahead, please.
I would love to be roomies with Doobie because he has a mansion. I would love to live there. Let me in, Doobie. Anyway, so if both candidates, right, were offering the exact same genocide, right? They went to genocides for us, right? And they bought the same one. How embarrassing, right? But one candidate, right, was offering to lower your taxes of working class, and the other one was going to raise the taxes on working class individuals, right? Which one would you vote for?
If that was the only difference, I might sit out.
Yeah.
But that's not the only difference
I mean,
that's
why?
going on.
I mean, why would you
Because
sit
the
out?
changes
Why?
would be so small as to be negligible. But my
Against the
argument
Okay.
here,
against the weight of the genocide.
Yes.
Like, I don't care about fucking
Yeah,
taxes when
but-
when I'm voting for this.
when we are
Okay.
but my answer to this is that in the MAGA situation, the differences are non-negligible, right? Even though both would lead to some bad outcomes, which I don't like, right? The fact that we have, look, Alex Preddy, Renee Good, the other people that they've shot and killed, right? Some of them survived the shooting, some didn't. None of that would have happened under Kamala. And that matters to
Hey.
me.
Yeah, sure. So once again, I'm not voting for. To be very clear, I'm not voting for. I'm not voting in a consequentialist manner, right? I'm voting in a principle manner. That means that like I have basic principles, and you should be able to pass them. If a politician can't definitely say they're not going to support an ethnic cleansing campaign, right? Well, then you don't really have my support. And, like it's really that simple. And the way to have gotten my support, right? The simple way to gotten my support is like I'm against ethnic cleansing campaigns, right? Like that's the way to do it. So and it's not just me, right? Like because what happens here, and this is why like I don't like talking about like fucking Hassan or anything like that, right? Like what happens is that there are many people who don't come on these panels, right? Who don't do these circuits, right? Who aren't even in chat. Shout out to the people in chat. Please donate to Wick, right? There are many people who don't involve themselves in these conversations, but they watch these individuals and they see policies that go one step too far for them. Is how I'll put that for now, the simplest way. It goes one step too far for them, and they simply don't show up, right? So, right, like Usurp and was it Kalinda? Excuse me. Can yell at me, right? They can yell at me. Can yell at Doobie, right? Can say you're failing America, but my friends, right? My friends, this is what I'm trying to get across to you. This is very important. That like, hold on, but this is why it's important. Like, you can try shaming myself, right? And maybe you can succeed. Maybe if you yell at me enough, I'll vote for vote blue no matter who, right?
God, I could only
But
hope.
all those other people won't. How do you get their votes? You have to earn their votes. That's what I'm trying to get. Trying to change the strategy here. Rather than say that you get my vote no matter what, vote blue no matter who, meaning you don't actually have to earn my vote, right? I'm saying that like the strategy should always be from the entire coalition, the entire Democratic coalition, is to push our politicians to be better. And vote blue no matter who is the opposite of that. It says, well, no matter what, you'll still get my vote. But at some point, you have to say no. And I think like not supporting ethnic cleansing is a pretty good place to start.
But by not
Okay.
supporting the ethnic cleansing you inadvertently supported a party that is now going to build a fucking military base in Gaza.
Sorry, did you not hear anything? It's liberals. Like
I
we're
know.
speaking a different
I understand
language
what
here.
you're saying. I just disagree
Okay,
with your
then
but
tell
what
me-
I'm
sure.
saying is that because in your opinion they were supporting the ethnic cleansing campaign, you inadvertently got somebody
Okay,
elected
just to-
office who is going to
just
do
real
worse
quick,
of an.
What he's just to kind of because I do want Kalinda and Usurp to answer to his point. His point is that that Democrats are shaming people instead of saying, "Hey, we're providing a alternative that is better," and that is like, I understand that, and I agree with you, right? That in effect he's ending up supporting all this even worse shit, right? But I do want you to respond to his point, like, okay, well, shouldn't you be offering more of a positive vision of the future?
I mean, I think that I do think that Kamala was offering a much brighter view of the future. And I don't think that she ever said, hey, yes, we're going to continue this genocide in Gaza, or we're going to continue this ethnic cleansing campaign. While at the same time, Trump was basically saying, hey, we're going to let Bibi do whatever the fuck he wants in there.
Completely,
and I think that...
Let Usurp finish. Let Usurp finish. Please, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
That's fair. It's... I understand not trying to shame them, but at a certain point when because to me it is so obvious what the only other outcome could be is so much worse that if you can't because I feel like we've tried to rationalize that. We're trying to get that point across that you might have to hold your nose, but it's better to hold your nose and do something that you're kind of leaves a bad taste in your mouth than wake up a year and a half later and realize, oh my God, the situation there is even 10 times worse than any outcome that would have come after Kamala.
But Usurp. That didn't work though, right? This, what you're talking about.
That's why I think you guys are unreachable. A lot of you guys are unreachable.
My problem is you're narrowed your focus.
Nothing's going to be good enough for them on Gaza.
No, hold on.
Exactly.
Stop it,
There's
Kalinda.
no point.
Kalinda, you don't understand. You're out there just saying random shit all the time, just interrupting. You're not actually
She's been quiet for 30 minutes. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Oh, yes, I know. This is amazing accomplishment for her, right? To shut her mouth. Right, anyway.
Come on, Prime. Just
to talk to
calm
Doobie.
down. Take it from
hold on.
a 10
I'm going to do
to
it. I'm not going to do it anyway. But anyway, Usurp, right? Look, you're narrowing your focus on people like me, right? People like Hassan and other people on Twitter, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to get you to expand your focus to a winning strategy, right? The strategy before the election was exactly what you're doing now. Hey, you just got to do it. You got to hold your nose. You got to do it. Do it. Fish or chicken, right? Those are your only two options. But
because
she lost every swing state, right? That strategy is a losing strategy. The strategy I'm talking, and
people
finally,
like you,
the last thing I'll say one more sentence. I promise I want to hear from you, right? The one thing that will work, right, is instead addressing voters' issues. That's what Mamdani did, right? He went out and he specifically listened to voters. He was at the very bottom of the race. No one thought he had a chance at the very start, right? But he was out there listening to New York voters and figuring out what they wanted, right? And on a larger scale, that matters too, right? So if you have a Democratic coalition begging you to do a thing and you refuse to do that thing, right? If you didn't fulfill that, then yes, you lose 7 swing states.
That's a really long sentence.
Go ahead, Kalinda,
it was long,
and then Usurp.
Let me just say something. Prime, I hope that you don't think that Kamala lost the election because of Gaza. She lost the election because she didn't talk enough about affordability and listen to people when it came to the economy. That's why she lost. It wasn't because of fucking
no one
Gaza.
gave a shit about Gaza.
No,
nobody cares about foreign policy.
I literally have you're wrong, because I literally have data otherwise. I actually have numbers, data behind that assertion. I can make that assertion later on. That's not important. That's not important, right? We can talk. I would love to talk about it later because I actually have data.
Are you talking about the data that shows that one group of people that basically probably wouldn't have voted for her no matter what?
Nope. It's not what I'm talking about. Anyway, Troy, don't worry. But we can talk about that some other time. To keep it focused on this, right? I'm trying to make a positive policy, which one way or the other, right? Shaming people didn't work. We tried your strategy. Having a positive forward strategy is the only way. So go ahead.
I said, I don't think we shamed you guys hard enough, because I think you guys didn't think that, again, I go back to the whole, maybe you guys don't actually care about Gaza and you don't think Trump is as bad, because getting Kamala elected, the lives of the Gazans would be better today. They would be better today.
Gaza. I'm trying to avoid just talking about Gaza.
Everything in this country would be better today. Everything.
Yeah, Yes, I'm trying.
And everybody knew that going into the election.
Hold on,
I feel
Like
you're not
you
engaging
have
with
to be
what Prime said.
fucking
And yet
3
they-
IQ.
and
You have to be a
yet
piece
she
of
lost.
firewood sitting in a
And yet
cord
she
outside,
lost.
covered in
And
snow,
yet
not
she
to realize that Kamala would have been so much
And
fucking
yet
better than
she
Trump.
lost.
But you guys
And yet
were so
she
fucking
lost.
dick hard
She
about
president-
Gaza that you wouldn't even
president-
listen to
Oh,
anything
hold on,
else.
hold on.
So it's
The guys-
impossible to
Okay.
deal with you
The
guys.
guys make a
Okay, I
make
do
a
want-
difference or not, huh? You want it both ways.
Can I respond?
Either
Yeah, I
it did
do-
make a difference, right? Then,
I-
right, then there's no
I-
Yeah,
say
I
something
want
about-
Kalinda, and then I want
upset
Doobie.
about it,
I want
right?
Kalinda,
Or
then I
it
want
did make
Doobie.
a
That's the order
difference,
we're gonna
right?
go in. Kalinda, then Doobie.
Yeah. So yeah, it either it didn't make a difference, right?
Is your name
And then-
Kalinda?
Yeah.
Is your name
Hold
Kalinda?
on. Hold on.
Or
Prime,
did
Prime,
make a
Prime,
difference.
Prime.
It's my
Prime.
turn to talk now.
We're gonna give it to Kalinda,
Turn up your
and we're gonna
volume in
give
your
it to Doobie.
headphones.
And then we can get back to you. I promise you.
Being a
Kalinda,
baby.
then Doobie.
I love you, Prime. Calm down.
I love you too.
Okay. Doobie, the whole thing about the bakeries in California, the exemption for the minimum wage thing was for bakeries that made their bread on site. That means like from the dough up. Panera Bread did not do that. Panera Bread took pre-made dough and they put it in the oven and they cooked it. It was not exempted.
Again, you just don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Panera Bread does bake their
You
bread on
can't just
site.
say-
That was
No,
Well, it's
you
true.
don't.
It's true. You don't, if you're defending this, right? If you want to pretend that all these people who looked into this, that even Democrat Party officials were opposed to this, senators in California
Doobie, do you have a
were
link you
spoke
can
out against
share
this.
with us?
Sure, I can do that. But I don't know why she's so focused on this. But it's just like it's just true. Like I don't know why it's so
I'm
difficult.
gonna be real.
Now-
I don't
now-
know
now I
anything about
understand.
this. So
Now I understand that after they got all the backlash, the franchisee said, "Hey, yeah, we're going to do it anyway. We're exempt, but we're going to pay the $20 anyway." And I understand that Biden had a spokesperson go out and
It's a
say,
shame
"Well,
it
actually,
works.
it doesn't apply." But this was after they got all the fucking backlash over this. So yeah, it's just silly. But now moving on to what's going to usurp. I think what Prime is trying to lay out to you is. One, you guys need to pick a struggle. Okay, either the Gaza vote didn't matter or it did, right? So either you guys lost because of Gaza, or it didn't matter at all
not saying-
because
no,
nobody
that's-
cared. No, because nobody. Wait, hold on. Because nobody gave a fuck about Gaza. Like, you guys keep you're jumping on both sides of that, and it's ridiculous. But that being said, that being said,
about Gaza didn't go out and vote, so
Okay.
they wouldn't get caught in the exit
Okay.
polls.
okay. That being said, I think that what Prime is trying to touch on is exactly what I said at the start. This is scapegoating, right? So rather than deal with the issues within the Democrat Party that are keeping people from mobilizing and going out and being excited to go out and vote for them, you guys attack people who don't fall in line. I think that's exactly the wrong strategy, right? The impetus or the weight should be on the Democrat Party to excite voters, to speak to these voters. Instead, you're pushing them away. You're actually hurting the party by pushing these voters further away from it, by signaling that, hey, not only are you like an enemy of ours because you're not voting for Democrats, but you're also a fucking idiot, right? You're a fucking piece of wood because you didn't vote for Kamala. Right? So I think that is exactly the wrong messaging. What you should be doing is exactly what Prime said, exactly what Mamadani did. Speak to normal people, figure out why they weren't excited to vote for Kamala. If they didn't give a fuck about Gaza, it was something else. It was some part of her messaging that didn't reach them, some part of her platform that didn't speak to them. Whatever it is, you focus on that and then win the votes from these people. I think just attacking leftists turns away future voters, right?
Okay.
You're not only are you doing all the things I said earlier, you're signaling disrespect of these people. Right? You were saying that, hey, the party doesn't fucking value you because your vote doesn't matter anyway. But also, fuck you for not voting for us.
okay.
You're just hurting yourself long term.
Okay, I have something to say, and then I want to give it to Kalinda and Usurp to respond. But it's gonna bother me if I don't say it, so forgive me, gang. Gaza did lose Kamala's election, but not in the way that a lot of people like to think. It wasn't because not enough people turned out to vote for her because of Gaza. That wasn't what did it. What did it was because of her position on Gaza and how it wasn't left enough for many commentators, such as Crystal Ball, such as the Majority Report, such as Hassan. Those people who may have influenced their constituencies, influenced their audience to go out and vote, decided to paint Democrats and Republicans as precisely the same, which made any attack on Trump's corruption any attack on Trump's foreign policy, any attack on MAGA's just basic horribleness less effective because of Gaza. A lot of these influencers who do have influence on the general public and the Democratic Party decided to do a both sides are the same thing. And this has been a problem not just in this election, but this has been a problem for years, especially with corruption. One of the reasons why the corruption attacks against MAGA don't hit as hard is because you have many progressive organizations who have constantly pushed the line that the Democrat corporatists, the Democrats are corrupt just like Republicans.
Donor
And so when
class.
it makes it harder when Trump is literally stealing $10 billion from the IRS to pay for his own lawsuit, right, that he's making against the IRS when he's the guy who can fire the IRS if they don't give in. Yeah, it's a real problem. But that's what I wanted to say, and I want to give it back to Usurp. So things like that.
Yeah.
I-
Oh, go ahead, Kalinda,
Okay,
go ahead.
you can. Okay. Okay. Listen, I'm not talking about like young people when I came in here or whatever. I agree that Democrats do need to like message better. I think we all
100%.
know that. Nobody is saying that they don't, and we understand that like the way that Mamdani messages would be a good thing. And I even think that like to some degree they should adopt like maybe like as long as they do so carefully some populist rhetoric. I just don't think that they should go full retard with the oh my god the corporations run everything and all of society's ills are to be blamed on the elites and all this insane bullshit like what MAGA is doing. But like yeah, I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing for them to do, and I agree that they should do that. However, that's not really what I don't think that that's what Hassan and all these far leftist people want. These people, by the way, like who I like. This is my line. You know what my line is? It was asked earlier. What is your line? Or like one of my lines is, at least when we're talking about influencers, if you're not gonna encourage your audience to get out and vote, then you should just get the fuck out, and the party should stop paying attention to you and acting like you're an ally, because you're not. Hassan's not an ally. Hassan hates liberal democracy, and so do all these other tanky fucks. They don't care about any of this shit, and that's like my main problem. Those are the people that I'm thinking of when I say far leftists are toxic to the Democratic Party. I'm not talking about people like Mamdani or AOC or Bernie, because those people are pragmatists who still are willing to be pragmatic. They're not like for fuck's sakes, Bernie voted for the fucking 1994 crime bill after he got up on the House floor and gave an epic and based speech about how bad it was going to be. But he voted for it anyway because it had the Violence Against Women Act in it. Because he's a pragmatist and he's willing to compromise. Because he understands how the systems worked. That's also why he endorsed Kamala and Biden and Hillary, even though he lost to them. You know, like, that's what I mean. That's all I'm saying. I don't want this. All I want to do is sit down and complain in my fucking rich-ass mansion and all this shit. Like,
Yeah, and like Doobie, when you said earlier, like the way that we're talking isn't the way to get over to the get on to the average voter to try and or average far lefty, I should say, and get them to like join our side and vote blue no matter who. But a lot of the vitriol that I'm spitting out now is against all the far left commentators. Now, I think Prime at the beginning, it was you who said like, I don't care about online, like, whoever XYZ, that's not what I'm caring about. But in my opinion, the prompt was like, does the far left help or hurt the Democratic coalition? In my mind, the most far left people we have in Congress or in anywhere is the Squad, and most, I think, far left people online don't even like half of them anymore because they're not far left enough. Like in my mind, there's not many politicians that I can talk about because at most they're social democrats, or at worst they're social democrats, unless they're hiding their power level, in which case they can't do anything anyway. What we're focusing on, or what we are angry about, is this group of people online who are using their influence to try and convince everybody that it doesn't matter. It's two sides of the same shitty coin when it's like objectively not true. Like it is, you could say without a shadow of a doubt, I'm just going to say again, the lives of the people in Gaza would be better today with Kamala in office. The lives of the people in Ukraine would probably be better. That one's a little weirder, but American lives would be better if Kamala was in office. Trans people's lives would be better. Marginalized groups' lives would be better. And if like looking back now, if you can't see like, oh shit, I understand why I decided to sit out and not vote. But like, if you don't feel like any kind of guilt or any kind of like shame in that action, then I don't know if you're ever reachable. Because if this like, and I'll go back and I'll say it again, it just seems like these people do not think Trump is that bad. Either that or they're so insulated
Do they not
that they're not
criticize
affected
Trump?
by it.
Is your impression that they don't criticize Trump or speak
Who,
about
like the
him?
far
I think,
lefties?
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely they do. That's fine.
Okay, well, and when they
Yeah,
criticize
they
him, do you think they're going too
criticize
soft?
Trump.
What?
When they
Well,
criticize him, do you think they go too soft?
It would depend, and you have to give me some examples, but I'll say no.
I mean, I don't know. 'Cause, I mean, the impression that I'm getting from what you're saying is that you think that they either don't criticize him enough or they don't criticize him firmly
it's that
enough. They don't think he's that bad. But what my impression is that they do
No,
criticize
I
the
don't
fuck
think- I
out of
say-
him. They literally call him Hitler and shit. But they also criticize Democrats.
But how can
not
you view
nearly as
someone
bad
and
as they
see them
criticize
as
Trump?
Hitler?
Though.
How can you look at somebody and say, "Hey, that's basically Hitler"? But you know what? That person that I could vote for, that I could advise my audience to vote for to stop Hitler, that's not worth it. So I don't know what they're thinking.
So hold on, can I please respond to this? Look, see, this is why this like argument against like these commentators is so facile, is so pointless, it's so impotent. Like, look, like
they
I'm
influence
not
people
saying-
whether or not to
hold
vote
on.
or not.
Oh, yes, I'm going to talk about the influence. I'll talk about that, right? So I understand Hassan has a level of influence, absolutely, right?
And
The
all of
majority
them
of
combined.
Sam-
All of
and
them
Sam-
combined.
I was literally just listening when you interrupted
Listen,
me.
I know
Yes,
we're
and
mind
majority
melded.
board,
Sometimes, you
and
ever do
Kalinske,
improv? Yes,
and
come on.
Kalinske. All of them people, they have
Yep.
influence. But you know who has more influence than any one of them? All of them combined?
Yeah.
The Vice President of the United States. Who has the
JD
ability
Vance?
to set well in this case I was talking about Kamala Harris but like yeah.
I was wondering where
Sorry,
you're
no,
going
that's
with it, but okay.
no,
You don't believe-
yeah,
you don't
I
believe
wasn't
this.
clear. That's fine.
You
That's
don't
fine. I wasn't
believe
clear. The person who has the most ability to change people's minds about their behavior. I'm sorry, their views. Is the candidate themselves, is
That's
the
not
person
true.
who has gotten the nomination,
That's not true.
right?
That's
Is
not
the
true.
person on
That's
the
not true.
ticket. And this is another one of my big problems with this liberal talking point, because it blames the voter. Because again, from your perspective,
No,
and
I'm
makes sense
blaming
from your
the
perspective.
influencers, the
you
people,
literally
the
did,
media
because then why shame
personalities.
them? Then why shame them? And you say like, hey, it's your fault. You should.
I'm
feel some
when I'm
guilt.
shaming them, I'm
You
shaming.
should-
I'm talking to the people that are talking to those people. I'm talking to you. I'm shaming
Okay, yes, great,
the
great,
commentators.
sure, no problem. Okay, shaming the commentators, right? Great, shaming the commentators
Yes.
as if they owe the Democratic Party anything. That they should.
No, but they owe their fans not to vote in someone like fucking Trump.
They have the free speech to say anything they want.
Yeah, I'm not saying they don't have fucking free speech. I'm saying the speech they're deciding to use is fucking
I'm glad
retarded.
you acknowledge that. I'm glad you acknowledge that. That they can say whatever they want. Okay, so maybe the
Yeah,
better
no shit,
strategy
Sherlock.
is Then okay, great. Then we can work together here. All right?
No, we
Then the
can't
better-
because you guys
Hold
are
on,
fucking.
hold on,
You're a gang.
respect,
You're
respect. Let me
gangrene
make the
foot.
point and then be mad
We're
at it.
we're
You said,
Civil
don't
War
worry, I'll give
soldiers, and
something
you guys are a dead, dying
I will give you
arm.
something to be mad at. Don't worry, but let me make the point. Let me make the point and then be really fucking pissed, right? And hold your head. Okay.
I will.
Anyways, right?
Thank you.
The point. Sure. Okay, looking forward to it. The point that I was simply making, right, is that instead of blaming literally anyone else, right, blame the politician, right? The politician, like you just said, like you like the, or maybe it was a Kalinda. I'm not sure which one. I apologize. That
All
you
white
like the
people look the
strategy
same. Yeah.
of Mamdani going out and like talking to the voters and designing his campaign specifically to address
I think it
their
was both
points,
of us,
right?
But yes.
Okay, I
Maybe,
completely
yeah,
agree.
sure,
I need to
sure,
cut in.
sure.
I need to cut in before I lose my thought. I need
No,
to
no,
cut
no,
in.
you don't.
I
No,
agree
you don't
with
need to cut it. No, you don't need to cut it because I can finish, and then you can go.
gonna
I
take
would
like
love to hear
20
what you have to
minutes.
say
It's gonna-
after I'm fucking done.
Write it
Thank you.
down while he rambles.
Yeah, you're so okay. That's fine. It's fine. All right, like you've got literally nothing to offer. That's fine. So hey, look, it would be better rather than doing that to just talk about the politician, right? To address the politician. Hey, they are the one in power. They're the ones who have the Democratic Party's nomination, the backing. They have the millions of dollars in funding. Instead, blame them for their failures, and instead of anyone else. It's constant scapegoating. It's a lack of responsibility all the time from liberals, right? Instead of blaming the powerful, right, the ones at the top, right, you find anyone else. Is it Hassan? Sure. Is it the majority report? Sure, right? Or for some of you, I won't put words in your mouth, right? But for some other liberals, it's the voters, and it's disgusting. Done.
Okay, 2 questions. So, or 2 points. When you were saying, like, you got to talk about the politicians and it's their fault for not putting out a good enough message. In my mind, I do think that obviously every politician, after every election, they can look back and see some things they could have messaged on better. Duh. No one's going to be perfect during a campaign. People are going to fuck up and make mistakes and not say what they might necessarily need to say in the moment. But a lot of the times, it doesn't even fucking matter what they say when these same commentators that we're talking about will lie about their positions and lie about their intentions anyway, or just make up intentions. That, like, oh, like, you will have these far left people. I won't even say any names, but you'll have them say, like, oh, you know, they say this, but they're just lying to you to get your vote. They're just lying because they're covering up for their big donor fucking whatever. And at the same time, let's say that I agree with you that these politicians should have had better messaging. In the lead up to the election, who do you think had more watch hours?
What?
Who had more watch hours? Who are people, who are the voters watching more and listening to more? Politicians or influencers?
Kamala Harris.
Probably mainstream media who,
100%. Yeah, like they have millions of dollars.
You think a lot of the far left, the people
mainstream media.
You think a lot of the far left. Hold on, you don't even know what my fucking question is. You think a lot of the far left people.
You're answering your fucking question. Answer the first question.
So you think a lot of the people that will define themselves in the far left as in like communists.
But you think the far left are like communists and shit. Like, so what the fuck does that matter?
Yes, I think
they wouldn't vote for they wouldn't vote for a Democrat anyway. Like, why does that matter? We're talking about
that's not true because that's exactly what Hassan calls or identifies as a communist, and he voted for Kamala, right?
Well, he claims to.
He claims to. So exactly.
Okay.
But let me finish. So, like, these people had like who got more view times? It was these influencers.
I think this is silly.
Hold
on, are you actually trying to make the
no? So
just to be clear, your position.
That is why
your position.
Hold on. Let me translate this.
Those
Let me
people.
translate this for them. There's a reason that politicians will go on the talk show circuits. There's a reason that politicians will go on the late night shows. There's a reason that politicians will go onto influencer streams. These things because those influencers have more reach.
And these people, these people on the far left, these young people on the far left, they are watching these entertainers. They're on TikTok every night. They're on Twitter. They're on Twitch. They're on YouTube. They're watching these people every night. No one's getting home from work that's 22, 23 and popping up Kamala Harris's stream. Nobody's doing that.
Can I respond? This is ridiculous.
Wait,
I think you're touching on exactly what Prime was trying to explain to you. So
go ahead.
Joe Rogan's the most popular podcast. I think he was at the time. I don't know if he still is. Right?
He's like
I don't
top
pay attention
five.
to podcast. Yeah. She refused to go in and speak to him. Right. For some reason, she didn't speak to him. Trump did. Right. So he got all those ears. She didn't. Mm-hmm. Biden's approval rating was, I think, in the high 30s around the time Kamala got into the race. Mm-hmm. And when speaking to a reporter about what she would do if she were elected, if she would do anything differently, she said no, she would do all the same things. So she's coming to the race, and her great message is, hey, you know that guy who 70% of the country doesn't approve of? I'm going to just continue doing what he was doing. That is not a winning message. That is absolutely not a winning message. So the issue wasn't that Hassan was saying that she's a fucking
Kamala Harris,
Zionist Nazi or whatever the fuck. Yeah, that's not the issue. The issue was that Kamala did not campaign well.
Kamala, pronounce her fucking name right.
Fuck you. She had shitty messaging, and she didn't win over voters, right? So she left all this
shit like
space
that
open.
Is exactly the problem. These are supposed to be our fucking allies.
When she said
me in a video game.
When she said that she wouldn't do anything differently than Biden, right? And to the far lefties that we're talking about, I guess. What that means is, hey, Biden was totally spineless on Gaza. So for the people who care about Gaza, she's just going to keep doing exactly what he was doing, which means more dead Gazans, right? For the people who,
Now we have
please
more
stop.
dead Gazans.
Stop. Yeah, I understand. I understand, right? But it's not about, hold on, I'm not talking about the consequences. What I'm talking about is her ability to energize and mobilize voters and get people excited to go out and campaign for her. If somebody is going to, one of these pro-Gazan people, right, who's like a one-issue voter on Gaza, and they were willing to vote for the lesser evil, that person is probably not going to be excited to go out and mobilize and canvass for votes for Kamala, because they know that she's just going to do what Biden did, and they don't like what Biden did, right? So it's about getting people excited, it's about building the energy, and the fact is that because
And
she
educating your audience on the other
totally
potential
spineless,
outcome.
because she was also totally spineless,
That's also
and
their
wouldn't
responsibility.
criticize Biden. She didn't give anything. She didn't give people anything to be excited about.
Okay, just
Okay.
just because we were coming up, it's a little past 2 hours. I want to get to closing statements, and then, gang, if you want this to keep going, we can keep going, and I can open it up for maybe some callers. But you got to give me some money, or we won't do that. I
Open up
don't
your
work
wallets,
for
guys.
free. I don't work for free, but I have some thoughts too. But I want to give first these wonderful people who have so graciously decided to spend their time in their evening, their wonderful Thursday evening with us to give closing thoughts, closing statements, then we'll end. I'm going to start with Prime, and we'll let Usurp have the last word. Prime, close us out.
Thank you. Thanks so much to my good friend Wick. Always enjoy hanging out with your friend. It usually ends, well, with us yelling at each other, but that's a good time for us debate bros. So shout out to you, friend. Thank you for kindly inviting me here. Come and join me at Twitch, YouTube, or Kick. At Primecayes, Primecayes. Would love to have you. And yeah, I would love to interact with the other people there. And so if you want to come on, if you want to watch, you're appreciated. Anyway, moving past that. Sorry, man, that could have been better. I appreciate.
It was great, Prime.
No, thank you. It wasn't one of my best pitches there, but we'll go. So I appreciate everyone here. Doopy's my homeboy, love him to death. Usurp, I don't think I met you before, but it was fantastic meeting you. Love the hair, actually, it's like pretty dope. And Kalinda, it's been another experience. But but I love hearing people with different from different viewpoints. In any case, yes. To wrap it up, my problem with liberals, and it was displayed here quite a bit, is that they will do anything they can to vote or to blame the one person. To not blame the one person most responsible. Right, that would be the politician. Right, the reason why Kamala / Biden lost is because of Kamala / Biden. But Biden sabotaged the Democratic Party in general when he decided not to drop out of the race. Right, he knew what his mental health abilities were. We didn't even get into that. Right, he knew his whole situation, but he didn't. Leave any which way, right? He didn't do what he could to build up Kamala as a politician, right? The public forgot about this woman until it was time to switch over to her. That put her in an awful position to start off with. And then from there, Kamala, right? She, you can look at the polling, right? Like, you could see like how the polling went, right? Like she shot up when she was made the Democratic nominee. She dropped as the campaign went along, right? She had her own choices to make. She was her own woman, and I think that that race was winnable, right? We can argue about what exactly lost it to her, but in any case, right? She lost. She did not do a good enough job, right? That should be the focus rather than anyone else. But again, thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here, Prime. Really appreciate you. Kalinda, please.
I'm Kalinda. You can find me on YouTube at Kalinda, Kalinda Live. So yeah, Kalinda and then live. But if you just search for Kalinda, you should find me. I'm also on Kick as well, and my name over there is Kalinda. But I don't really stream there as much. Just trying to build an audience. I talk about geopolitics a lot. I've been focusing on Ukraine quite a bit. I'm coming for you, Lactoid, next month. Anyway, as far as all this stuff goes, Um, I I think the problem, and like we didn't necessarily even like get to this. Prime keeps talking about how like Kamala could have done this, that, or the other thing in order to get people. I don't think that it would have mattered. I think that no matter what, as long as the candidate was a liberal and not a fucking, like super far lefty person, Hassan would not have advocated for voting for them. As long as the candidate didn't advocate or didn't like come out there and take the most maximalist, insane position on Israel, then Hassan would not have advocated for voting for them. And I think that that is silly and unreasonable, and it assumes that the country is much further to the left than it actually is. And I just don't think that that works. And I really think that these people are just a cancer that should just be like, we just should stop acting like they're our friend. The media environment is shitty and it is toxic. And part of the reason for that is because that unfortunately the Democrats, there's a lot of bad things you can say about them. And a lot of it is on messaging. And much of that messaging is like they were stuck in the past. They still think it's like the fucking early 2000s. And they never took advantage of the media environment thing in the way that Republicans did. And instead, the alternative media space online got filled by a bunch of fucking leftists like the Majority Report and Kyle Kalinske and all of these other like populist dipshits who don't like value the same things that we value as like Democrats and stuff, and who don't care about winning. And yeah, that's it.
Thank you for being here, Kalinda. Always a pleasure and appreciate you. Doobie.
I don't have a stream. You can find me on politics if you want to yell at me. It's discord.gg/politics. It's the best and biggest politics server on Discord. That being said, I think that we're going to win by shrinking the base is a terrible strategy. I think that attacking leftists, quote unquote, is really just pushing people away. You're not persuading any Republicans. You're just demobilizing Democrats or potential Democratic voters. I think you're burning volunteer energy. You're hurting small donor enthusiasm, killing youth engagement. And I think that what you're actually on the other side of that, you're allowing the elite, the establishment Democrats, the donor ecosystems, you're giving them an out to shift the blame away from their strategies, the things that they're doing, and so they never feel any pressure to change, right? So I think you're long term, it's a losing strategy, and I think it's been proven time and time again. And for some reason, you guys just keep attacking the lefties and blaming shit on them. And again, the fact that we just had somebody try to argue that Hassan and these lefties online have like more influence on the way that Kumala, whatever the fuck her name is, was perceived than her herself, right? Her going on The View and saying she wouldn't do anything differently than the guy who had a 30-something% approval rating. That's fucking crazy, right? You need to hold these people accountable when they fuck up. They've obviously fucked up. So attack them, try to get them into line.
Thank you for being here, Doobie. Always a pleasure. Appreciate you. Usurp.
Guys, thank you for having me. It was a lot of fun. You can find me on Twitter. It's Usurpthechef. I have a very, very, very shitty YouTube channel also called Usurpthechef. So go in there if you want to watch some really awkward, cringe videos of me trying to learn how to do this. One of the great things I love about this country is that, unlike in the founding years, anybody who's over the age of 18 can vote. We've decided to choose that day or that age because we as a society have decided that's kind of when a person becomes an adult. And adults need to be able to realize that actions have consequences and that voting for the lesser of two evils is sometimes the best option that we are presented in life. And this can happen anywhere, not even just not just at the voting booth. It could happen at work if you got accepted to 2 jobs. It could happen anywhere else in your life. We need to be able to understand, these far left people need to be able to understand that you're allowed to make mistakes. You're not defined by your mistakes, and that we're not necessarily trying to attack lefties. We're just trying to have them somehow finally see the reality of the situation, that we're not in normal times. This isn't a Mitt Romney on the other end of this political gun that's being pointed at our heads. It is people like Stephen Miller, it's Steve Bannon, it's Russell Vought, it's J.D. Vance. These are people who are illiberal to their core. And I think that what is happening right now is a unique moment in American history, one that anybody in our none of us has ever seen in our lifetimes. And I think we just need to actually like have a conversation about what's happening in reality. We can always hope that our politicians do more. We should always be pushing for our politicians to do more, and they should be hopefully listening to their constituents. But at the same time, when there is a gun to your head, we cannot be arguing about where we go to dinner.
Okay. Well, thank you for being here. Really appreciate you and hope to have you on again. Gang, if you liked this content, if you enjoyed what you had to see, okay, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you're watching me on Twitch, hit that follow button. Thank you for the gift subs. Really do appreciate those. And if you want to, and I'll get to the super chats in a second. One of the issues, well, first of all, also, Destiny's going to be on the show tomorrow. Destiny and Dev versus Steelborn, and I forget the other guy's name off the top of my head. And they're going to be arguing about free speech and Trump. So tune in for that. It's at 6 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. That should be a good time. I guess one of my conversations, or one of my problems with this conversation, right? And I know my position's not the same as Kalinda's and Usurp's. But, look, I am advocating against leftism. And I am advocating against a lot of these people. And I do want to remove them from my orbit and from my party, right? Like, I think that they are stinky boys, okay? When you have a party, and you're throwing a party, and there's a stinky boy in the party, no one wants to go to your party. It drives people away. People don't want to come in. But if you remove the stinky boy from the party, then you'll get more people in. I think that one of the problems that the left has had, or the Democrats have had specifically, over the last, I'd say, 10 years, is that they have gone too far left, and they continue to want to go too far left. And the Republic, the voters, don't want that shit. It's stinky. They don't want this stinky shit, right? They don't want that. So, by attacking the leftists, I'm signaling to the normies that, hey, it's okay to vote Democrat because we're not those stinky boy leftists. That's my position. But, yeah. We still need like $50, gang. Thank you for thank you for the 5 gift subs and $5 from,
Wick, I'm curious about
just real quick, $5 from
Zephyr
Zephyr
ask
Hash.
you some questions about that, but
Yeah,
sorry,
you
go
can
on.
ask me in a second. $5 from Zephyr Hash. To Prime, what happens when your preferred candidate loses a Democratic primary? Will you vote for the Democrat or throw your toys out the pram?
I feel like my position was clear. It doesn't. Well, maybe it's not. Oh no, don't worry. I'll state it very quickly. Sure. I'll state it very quickly. That one, it doesn't have to be my preferred candidate. I've held my nose and voted for Democrats. They're the real stinky boys. But anyway, I voted for corporate Democrats in the past, and I'll vote for them in the future too. I can do that. It's simply like, hey, do you clear a minimum a standard for me, right? So they don't have to be my preferred person, right? I voted for Joe Biden. Joe Biden was not my preferred person, and I would have voted for him again, right? One, if he hadn't been senile and been thrown out, and two, if he hadn't supported a genocide. So that's gonna be a big fucking problem for me. So in which way, yeah, so I'll have no problem voting for them. But Wick, I'm not gonna stick around. I'm gonna do other stuff.
You gotta go. We probably won't stick around too long, but I wanted to let Kalinda ask me some questions and things. But
have a good one. Bye, everyone.
Always a pleasure, Prime.
Bye, Prime.
Bye.
Love you.
I'm just curious.
Go ahead.
Like, do you have examples of what? Like, I don't necessarily disagree with you if you're specifically talking about people like Hassan or whatever. Because
Yeah, I'm not talking about like soy pill, right?
Well, yeah, I know, but let's talk about policies though, because I feel like in the past, you have said stuff that's kind of like that kind of implies that you think that the Democrats, like the mainstream Democratic Party, has gone too far to the left on things. Can you give some examples of that?
Sure. I think that there was a huge push for trans people in sports that did not help us. And I'm not even sure that that was the right thing to do in that case. I think a lot of the trans issues, the public just thinks that the left is far too extreme on, and I think that was one of the problems that we had. Another problem that we had was the cancel culture stuff. I think that a lot of the democratic insistence on weaponizing the government in order to try to silence their enemies did go far too far. Now, I say all this, but keep in mind that on every single thing I'm going to criticize the Democrats on, Republicans are just worse, 1,000 times worse. So I just want to
Sorry,
make
when
that
you
clear.
say weaponize the government to try to silence
Sure, one of the
critics,
things
are
that
you talking
Biden
about?
tried to do, one of the things that Biden tried to do during his term, which I yelled about and I opposed greatly, was I forget what the official name was for it, but what I colloquially called it the Ministry of Truth, where he wanted to create a governmental board to label information as either misinformation, disinformation, malinformation, and things like that. I think that would have been a horrible idea. That was a horrible thing for free speech. And I think that one of the reasons he did that was pressure from far left advocate groups to push him towards that. And then $20 from Thunder Turkey to say, could you not have Primecayes on ever again and let him rot with his 20 viewers in the stinky sewer where he belongs? Look, Primecayes is my... I want to address this. Primecayes is my friend. He was one of the first people who platformed me. And if you think I'm going to abandon him, you're wrong. Okay, just saying that. But
He's been doing this for years, too. He deserves a little bit of respect for that alone.
True.
I think that, like, I mean, Wick, honestly, a part of me disagrees with you, but I don't know what the fuck to do about, like, things like misinformation. I completely understand the idea of wanting to go after misinformation, or at the very least have some sort of website or whatever that's going to label stuff as misinformation, because it is out of control. We do not live in the same reality anymore. All that shit about the vaccine was fucking insane. Like the fact that there were a whole bunch of people died because that they refused to get vaccinated because they believed a whole bunch of insanely stupid wrong shit about how the vaccine was going to like inject you with 5G transmitters, or like once you got it and if you put the spoon up to your shoulder, you like it'll stick to you and all this other shit. By the way, I've been like fucking quadruple vaxxed and I have yet to have my fucking 5G antenna or whatever. I have been ripped off.
So one of the
Doobie,
problems
are you one of those
here,
people who believes that?
and this bothers me because you're doing the same thing a lot of people on the right do when it comes to immigration, pointing to the obvious, like violent illegal immigrants and saying, "Don't you dislike violent illegal immigrants? How can you be against ICE when these are violent illegal immigrants are out there?" Like, yes, we recognize that these things are problems, but the way that you're trying to solve these problems is fucking horrific and unconstitutional, right?
I can
so
agree with
the
that.
misinformation thing, I recognize. I'll just cede to you. It's a problem.
Yeah.
But the
I think
way
it's one
that
of the biggest problems we face.
the way to combat that problem is not the way that a lot of the people on the left tried to do. It's
Wick,
unconstitutional.
real quick, a question on that.
Oh,
With like, the
I
whole
don't-
Ministry of Truth thing.
Hold on, can I just say, I'm not saying that I agree with the government coming in and shutting down like people's things like that. I don't necessarily.
Now the
agree with that. I'm
Republicans
just saying
put it out as more than it was, and
it's really
they
frickin' hard to
hyperbolize
deal with this.
hyperbolize it. But there was jawboning by the federal government to things like Twitter and Facebook and things like that.
Yeah,
that
it's
happened.
like with that, like I understand, like if Biden won, if I would almost want to look up more information on it to see what like it would have actually been in the end. And I completely agree. If it was basically say like going to end up being something like, hey, here is like governmenttruth.org, and this is like where the actual truth is. That's miss me with that. However, at the same time, like I think that like misinformation coming from like, and I'm not just talking about like your uncle tweeting out some random bullshit. I'm talking about like actually targeted campaigns from foreign hostile nations that are flooding our internet waves with like these wacky, with all this crazy shit, and it's dividing our country into multiple different factions. Like this is something that needs to be addressed, and like to the point where I even think like we should be able to freaking like strike these troll farms. Like I would be
Like a
I would
kinetic
vote for
strike?
that. Yes, I would 100% vote for that.
Interesting. I don't know if I agree
Because
with
I think
that,
like this level of misinformation could be a cause us a lot like act of war.
But here,
I mean, if you're talking about Russian disinfo, then that's a separate category. Then yeah.
I do want to like, we can talk about that. But when I'm speaking of what again, the government has been doing for years, and it's not just Biden. And again, to be clear, Trump is doing this all worse, right? Like everything that they've
Yeah, I don't
accused
think you're
Biden of,
defending.
Trump
you're
is
saying
doing
that,
this
yeah.
1,000 times worse, much more brazen. He's taken everything that I had criticisms of Obama, of Trump 1, and of Biden. He's rolled it all into one. He's multiplied it by 100, and he's just doing it. And the free speech absolutists on the left are going FOSSA way, right? And decided to suddenly censorship is good now, right? But here's the problem, is we can solve these problems, or at least mitigate these problems to an extent, without violating people's freedom of speech. I think that one of the good things that has come out of, one of the only good things that has come out of Twitter in recent days is community notes. That's a super excellent idea that doesn't silence people's voices, allows them to speak, but it allows the community to put a note on something when there's misinformation and provide different amounts of sources. I'm okay with something like that. But
Yeah.
I
the
agree
left
about
just,
the
I'll give it to you in a
community
second,
notes.
Kalinda. I promise. I'll give it to you in a second. The problem here is that the left, for years, refused to even talk to anyone on the other side, refused to even have anyone who was to the right of Bernie Sanders, right, on their programs. And
pretty
this is
wacky
another way
times
the
back
left
in the
has
day,
hurt us,
yeah.
by the way.
Yeah.
It made us weak. It made us open to attacks that we did not have to
Soy.
do. And that was primarily pushed for by far leftists. That was them primarily pushing for that. And it was a
Yeah, real
mistake to
quick-
give into
Okay.
it.
Yeah,
But
real quick,
anyway.
Kalinda. I just want to.
Kalinda, I want to hear
Okay,
what
go
you
ahead.
have
No,
to say.
no, no. Go ahead. Okay. Listen. I don't listen. I don't like disagree with that or whatever. Although I don't know if the community notes thing really helps that much. I mean, it seems like a lot of during COVID, for example, there was a lot of instances where companies would. I think you even can still see it on YouTube, where you can go read more information about something that might be mentioned in a video. Like if you watch a video and it's about the Holocaust or whatever, there'll be like a little thingy underneath it that points you towards where you can go read more about it on Wikipedia, or if you're watching something from like state funded media, like the CBC or BBC or whatever, there'll usually be a little thing underneath the video. But were you against like companies like Facebook, for example, banning things that were like banning people like just spreading misinformation? Because that's not government censorship. I know that there was some instances
I'm against
where
corporate censorship too. Yes.
Yeah, that was
And I think
pushed
it's
by the
'cause
government,
it's a
though.
half
That
measure.
there was a
It doesn't really
push
address
from
it.
the administration to do that.
I'm aware
absolutely.
that there was a push, but that push was not entirely done by a lot of that was just communication, and sometimes let's say Twitter, for example, would take stuff down, but they wouldn't always take stuff down. It just depended on
It's a
what it was.
mindset
But,
that I'm having a problem with.
Yeah,
right?
so wait, can I
Oh
say
no,
something real quick?
I understand.
I'm sorry, Doobie. Right before we get like, I'll let you go. I'm gonna be like 2 seconds.
Sure.
Like, because like my idea, unfortunately, would I like to do kinetic strikes? No, because that could obviously fuck things up way even worse. So I think the government should be the one who's deciding, hey, this is who it is. I think, unfortunately, like one of the only kind of realistic possibilities that I don't think many people would actually go for, unfortunately, is like we need to have like maybe just not be able to be anonymous online anymore. And you almost need to say like, hey, maybe even be anonymous, but you have to have like tie your nationality and who you are to your account online so that we know if we're talking with fellow Americans or if we're talking with fellow Europeans. Like the fact that like we can have
Can
these
Twitter do that?
bots. What's that?
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
hilarious.
but I'm talking like actual, like, because who knows? Because you can beat it with a VPN. So, like, the idea is good. But unfortunately, it would need to be from, like, government level on down, being like, hey, if you want to get online, like, you need to be able to verify. You can maybe even hide your name.
Here's an idea that I think that we could both agree on to combat misinformation from foreign sources. I think that you should be required, if you take any sort of money from a foreign government, you need to report that. You need to make that
But
very clear on
that's
your
already
channel.
law.
Is it?
It's FARA.
Yeah, FARA.
Again,
Is
I'm
it-
talking about
Is it enforced? Is
yeah,
it
it's
enforced
not.
in like
It's
Trump's case?
not.
Like, no, I mean, not in Trump's
for
case, obviously.
Trump,
Yeah, but
no,
like, it's
but it
not
was
good enough.
before.
Like, you
When?
need to be
When
able.
has it been enforced? Like, this is something that people have turned a
Bro,
blind eye
Tim
to for
Pool
years.
and the tenant media
that's what they
shit.
got,
Those
like-
guys all got indicted for taking money from Russia.
Yeah, but then they got
Indicted, but
That was
did
good.
anything meaningful happen to them
No.
apart from that?
No.
Like,
Because they
Okay,
had
I'm
enough,
sorry.
like,
Those
People
guys
became
they
did,
part
had
of
but
the
enough,
press
like,
media,
who
right?
were doing
plausible
it,
deniability
yeah,
to
yeah, because they
fucking
had
wriggle their way out.
deniability.
But like, it needs
Also,
to
there
be
was
like, and I
Michael
don't even need to
Flynn.
know your name. I just need to know that like the 10 people in this conversation are actually fucking Americans, and not like 3 from Qatar, 2 from Russia, 1 from
Israel.
India, all pretending to be Americans, and then like affecting what our conversations are. Like I always think back to the 2016 election when the 10 GOP account, and they were Russians were organizing both sides of the protests at events. Like that is so dangerous, and like we're not going to fix anything in this country until we address that. I think that's like probably more pressing than global warming, in my opinion.
I disagree with that. I agree it's a problem, but I disagree we're not going to fix anything. Gang, maybe I'm not as black-pilled as you guys, but we are winning. You guys understand that, right? Like the Democrats are winning. And to be clear, during the age of Trump, while he does have power now, we've won more elections than we've lost overall.
No, I don't disagree with that. That
Our
wasn't the
strategy,
thing. I just
long
I'd be
term
like we'd be in the
is
streets
successful.
if I thought. Yeah, like it's more of like I can't believe we got here, and it's kind of scary what's happening now, because it's like, why are they getting to Fulton County, Georgia, and going to their election? Like, though, like I read something that was it was a headline that I just read, and like I would be surprised if like 5% of the country even heard this story about how like back in the like you're able to renew your passports in places like post offices, but you can also do it in local libraries. And the Trump administration basically went to like the program that allowed passport registration at local libraries and said, you're not allowed to do that anymore. And so it's like they're doing like, and I'm not saying what their end goal is, or I'm not saying that they're trying to do this just to like suppress the vote or make it harder, but they're trying to do this voter ID thing, and your ID needs to say what country you're from or what country you were born in or what country you're a citizen of. A passport's an easy way to do that. And then they're trying to restrict the ways that you can get passport. Like I do think I completely agree with you.
I agree with all that. They're trying to look.
Shit.
I'll go further. The right is trying to steal the election because they know they're losing.
Yeah.
Yes, they're
what's
absolutely doing
black-pilling
that.
me.
They're
Yeah.
absolutely
I hope
setting
we
up
win.
to
Like,
steal
I want to
win
win.
in the midterms because they know that they're losing. So they're having to cheat. They're having to do all
Exactly.
these things. That's absolutely happening.
100%.
However,
That's what
the
black pills
idea that like, and this was what frustrates me about Destiny as well, right? And it's not just you, it's not just the left, right? But Destiny frustrates me that well. Is he's like, well, MAGA won this one election, and so now we have to do the same things that they're doing, and like the same style of politics that they're doing. When I can look at the results of what their politics are doing, and everyone's running away from them. It's losing. It's destroying any chance that if they had just been normal, we might have had MAGA for 1,000 years. But they insisted on being batshit insane and doing all the things that I criticize, right? And you criticize and everyone criticizes. And the idea that we have to do the same thing to fight them, and like, they're losing. They're getting shellacked. During the November 2025 elections, they lost districts that the Republicans had held for literally 100 years. They had lost those districts. Like, Georgia went blue by 30 fucking points. I don't know what to tell everyone, right? Like, they are getting crushed. Why would I ever do that same thing? Why would I ever engage in that same kind of
Wick, do you think that they are getting crushed because as a result of like Democrat strategy, or is it just because the Republicans are in control right now and they're so fucked?
It's
I don't see
because
that
the
at all.
Democrats
I don't
have
see that at
no
all.
position. Like we own nothing at this point.
I'll give you 2022, right? One of the DNC did this by design, is they amplified the more extreme candidates in Republican primaries because they knew that they were going to get their shit pushed in during the general election. And that strategy worked. It worked.
Mm-hmm.
It was successful.
Yeah.
So yes.
They pushed extreme candidates. Wait, what do you mean by extreme candidates?
So the more MAGA
It's what they tried with Trump,
Yeah.
actually.
Like Herschel Walker.
This
was
actually,
that-
this is actually the
wait,
problem with Trump.
actually, that's an interesting point because I wanted to bring up one of those examples, and you think that was like in their benefit, or what are you trying to say, Wick?
I'm sorry, 1 second. $20 from Doobie. I just saw that to say Thunder Turkey. is a
Sorry,
sneaky boy.
I gotta go.
Oh, Kalinda, thanks for being here, though. I do appreciate you.
Yeah, absolutely. You're welcome. Yeah, I'm gonna head out now.
Fuck off, Nazi.
Yeah, I'll probably be streaming for a while.
Oh,
What?
also, Kalinda, short fat attack.
I did have a question.
I
I did have a-
racist, so I'm supposed to call you racist. I don't know why.
Oh, hello, Dev. Hello, Dev, my fellow racist friend.
Okay.
Yes.
Kalinda, I
cat's
did have
cute,
a
by the
question
way.
for you, but if you have to go, I'll probably hit you up later with the question.
Oh, okay. I mean, you could ask.
Unless-
Is it about this topic?
Yeah, it's about this topic. I just want a sort of a vibe check from you as to like what percentage of the what I'll call like the Hassan rhetoric, either voter apathy or like outright disenchantment of the Dems, like how much like percentage wise, how much do you think that actually like cost us the election? Because I don't think that, as far as I'm aware, there is no real data from anywhere that
There's
really
not.
shows. Yeah.
Well, it's not even just that. You know what? Honestly, I would love to see. I think I mentioned this before. It would be really cool if somebody would do some sort of a study to figure out like how many people are consuming like alternative left-wing media and how they vote and what kind of things they believe and all this other kind of shit, like some sort of survey or something to that effect, like some kind of a study, because this is something that I don't think that really, this is a thing that really touches like polling. So the answer to that question is, I don't know. I don't think that it was necessarily like a huge amount or whatever, but my problem is that, oh, it's a kitty. My problem, oh, that's so cute. My
That's a very
issue
cute
is
kitty.
that he reaches millions of people, and so
Sure.
yeah, I feel like he could have done more. And also, it was just more the fact that I just don't like the fact that the online media space is full of people on the left, that it was largely, until recently, taken over by a bunch of fucking commies who don't actually care about the Democratic Party and who just want to complain and whine and cry. And I find that, yeah, that sucks.
Yeah.
But things are
And
changing
I-
now, obviously, because there's more liberal people coming in.
Yeah, and again, I know you have to go, but I would argue, like, I'm just gonna be honest and say that, like, yeah, of course Hassan, has like his shit takes and everything, and of course, like this Gavin Newsom thing is like truly crazy, because it is like, I understand why he doesn't like Gavin Newsom, completely understand it, but for him to signal it this far out is like crazy. Anyways, but that being said, I also recognize that I don't think that there's really any data that's going to come out here to show us that, like, this is the tactic that we have to take, that we have to cut these people out. Because I think that for the most part, there's people who could be watching us on for a number of different reasons. And out of like every 10 people who watch us on, I would say that 8 out of 10 of them would have voted Dem if they voted.
Yeah, that's possible.
Maybe
Yeah.
one of them would actually be like a tanky, commie person, whatever the fuck. But I'm not willing to like completely like yeet him from the coalition just because of that one half of a person or whatever. That's kind of my problem.
I want to yeet him from the coalition because he doesn't want the same things that I do, because he's not a liberal person. He's a tanky
Sure.
who doesn't have the same
Right.
values as like most of the rest of us, or like even most like American Democrats do in the base, because he doesn't care
but
about any of that.
I wouldn't.
But the
I
Democrat
wouldn't-
voters
but
he
it's still-
speaks to wouldn't watch Wick or Hutch. They're not libs like you guys are, right? They're not
Yeah,
moderates.
I think-
they wouldn't want
yeah, and
to.
I
They
think-
wouldn't want to watch you guys.
Yeah, I think
I'm not saying
that's
that they
kind of what I'm.
necessarily want to watch us.
But
Honestly,
he's
I
speaking
think
to people
that
you guys can't reach. So like that seems like a
Yeah, but
positive.
I-
that seems like
I
a benefit.
think-
But you hope to convince some of them, like that you're not going to be
Yeah,
able to
I think
always
we
get
should
all
try
of
to
them.
de-radicalize
No,
those
but-
people because I don't think
They're
this
not radical.
radicalization shit
They're
is
pretty fucking
good.
radical.
No, they're not.
I think you guys
they're
are
not,
radical.
They're
Pretty
not.
radical.
Dude,
No,
you have a
they're
hammer
not.
and sickle
No,
in
no,
your
no.
backyard.
They're not.
In
They're
your
not.
background,
Look,
dude.
okay. I'll be completely honest. I think the people who watch Hassan are like they are. I call him baby's first lefty all the time, and it's for a reason because he's baby's first lefty. Like
He's the
he
thirst
appeals
trap
to the
lefty, that's
kids.
If you don't
He
think
appeals
that
to the he appeals to the kids. No, shut up, Wick. I know your position on this. You have no data to back this up.
What do you mean I have no data to
the-
back this up?
You have no you literally
Hold on.
said
If
that
you
like
think that
you
the
li-
people
I'm
who
sorry,
are watching
I'm so
Hassan
sorry.
are far
I'm
left,
so sorry.
far,
I'm so
far, far
sorry.
left,
You
you're
literally
smoking
just
something.
said-
I don't know what
you
it is.
said,
Mog.
you said earlier that you think that Hassan, like that Gaza lost Kamala because people watched Hassan and thought that Kamala was okay. I'm
yes,
sorry. I
they
also fucked up her name.
portrayed, and they've been doing
You
this
think
for
that's
years.
because of
They portrayed the
Hassan?
Democratic Party and the
Wait, you
Republican
actually
Party
think
as
it's
Not
because
the
of
just
same.
Hassan?
Hassan.
Not just
No,
the
I'm not
entire.
saying he didn't contribute. I'm not saying he didn't contribute. You're saying
Yes.
that's the reason why he lost? That she lost?
No.
That is one of the reasons. Yes, not the only
Okay.
reason.
Part of it.
One
Okay,
of the
all
reasons.
right.
Look, at
Okay.
the,
It wasn't
like
look, at
Hassan
the
and
end of the
Hassan
day.
alone.
No. But you're saying you're attributing you're attributing.
No,
his
you're doing this
contribution
Mon
to
Bailey
that.
thing, right? Where like it has to be all the
said this
reason
earlier,
that this
Wick.
was, or it can't count at all.
Guys,
No.
hold on,
You
stop.
said
Not
this
true.
earlier, Wick.
Wait.
Wick, you said this earlier.
No, I want to say one last thing. Fuck.
Yeah, we need to let her go. Yeah.
I
No, we're
Yeah,
keeping
I
her
would
here.
like-
She's trapped now. Okay, but go ahead.
Yeah.
I would
Was my
like
There's
a reason
very
you can't
much
see Wick's
to
hand.
Try.
Holding the lead.
I would like very much
Yeah.
to try and where's your other hand, Wick? I would like very much to try and
Holding it
de-radicalize
going.
Don't ask
like, some of
questions.
these
You don't
people, or
want
like,
to answer.
or if not
kidding.
like de-radicalize them, but like I guess at the very least like find some sort of a way to speak to them that doesn't necessarily involve like fucking they're like caving to all of the things that like all of their demands or whatever, you know, like all of their radical demands that a Democratic candidate must have, or rather all of Hassan's radical demands. I understand that. I agree with you that a lot of people who watch Hassan probably are, it's like baby's first leftist or whatever, and like they're not all like that far in the tank, but some of them, like, yeah, there was also a good portion that are Hassan's
course.
audience is fucking insane.
No,
Okay.
I'm not.
Insane.
I'm not. Look, okay, I'm not. No. Hold on. I'm not
Just
denying.
real quick,
I'm not denying that there
$5.
is a.
$5
Oh,
from
God.
General Grievous to say 8 out of 10 Hassan viewers. Does she have a poll to support this? She asked Kalinda if she has numbers to support the idea Hassan is negative, but has patchouli polling.
Yeah, okay, no, and I'll answer that right now. Like at the end of the day, then I don't have data, so that means it is just vibes. So if you're going to say cut these people out of the coalition, I'm just asking you to provide your evidence that these people are actually meaningfully bringing this to the point where I'm going to cut off people who would vote Democrat. That's all.
Okay,
That's all.
I'll just give you my
talking
data.
about-
When we did that,
to answer Kalinda's point though, no, I do want to address what you're saying, right? Because I do agree that I think that there can be a balance between somebody who speaks to these like disenchanted or whatever left, like these disenchanted
Disaffected,
Democrats,
yeah.
disaffected, right? I think that there can be people who speak to those, but who are also smart enough to understand the system a bit better than fucking Hassan, or to understand why somebody might, I'm totally fine with having criticisms of Dems. I understand who he speaks to. That's why he has that's why he has the platform he has, apart from being like a fucking himbo, right? Like
He's also
that's it.
spreading voter apathy too, by the way.
No,
With
I
this
agree,
whole
that's
both
bad.
parties
No,
are
no,
the
no, I
same
agree.
Uniparty garbage.
No,
Like-
I agree that's bad. I do think that lefties should try to again treat him as baby's first lefty. Find somebody else who actually knows what they talked about and can make actual criticisms of Dems without screwing the pooch, right? Without actually being so far as to say be voter apathetic. I do think that there is a line that it's kind of hard to
you can
find those
make
people, but
criticisms of Dems. It's just that, again, we get back to the fact that I don't think that Hassan is actually a liberal person. He is a tanky, regardless, and his audience.
Yeah, but-
a lot of people in his audience are nuts. That being said, though, what I would like to see is more left-wing people or more liberals filling in or in the online media space, because I do think that it's a problem that a lot of the largest shows on like on the internet for like left-wing people are run by fucking purity testing loons like Crystal Ball, who, when that one Democrat lady went on, she spent the entire time grilling her about Gaza and demanding that she call it a genocide and all this other shit, instead of like focusing on literally anything else. And I just think that that is just stupid and cancerous.
Okay, we got about 5
Sure.
more minutes before I shut this down, unless I get a sizable donation.
Okay.
Just FYI.
I'm
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
gonna I have to go.
Kalinda, see
Okay.
you later.
All right, nice talking to you, Kalinda.
Yeah, if you want to talk again sometime, we potentially could. Anyway, thanks guys.
absolutely.
Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.
I do have one thing to like just to kind of because this is the other thing too, that like, okay, so for example, I absolutely, especially when y'all were talking about criticizing the Dems, I do think, to speak to what Doobie was saying earlier, like Dems do some weird shit, and I think that that tactic of like pressuring Dems to be progressive, to be on the left, to be for the people, that sometimes does come from lefties, right? It's just so I personally don't see the value in cutting off like Hassan's audience just because, like, I don't think that Hassan himself is like particularly effective in the tanky pipeline thing. At best, you can say that he's very good at doing the voter apathy thing.
And that's just as dangerous, if not even more dangerous, in my opinion. Like,
Sure,
the thing is,
but do
like,
you
these
think-
elections
Yeah.
are won and lost by smaller margins than people think. And
Yeah.
it's not even just Hassan's stream. It's the 10,000 people who watch Hassan's stream, and then later in the day they see a meme shitting on the Democrats, and they send that out to each one of them has 100
Right.
followers, and it's
But-
a big spider web of just shit on Dems half the time, and
Okay,
that's
okay,
not
okay,
what
but-
helps.
And look, and I'll be out. I will sing Dems praises all day, every day. Okay, like don't get me wrong, I will do that. But I think that when so for example, I was looking into this last week, and then I continued to look over it throughout the week. Okay, the guy Henry Kuehler, who like voted for, he was the only Dem who voted for the SAVE Act, right? It turns out that in 2022, he was running against a progressive candidate in his state,
Mhm.
and Nancy Pelosi broke her own rule and backed this guy over the progressive candidate. He ended up winning by like 289 votes. The justification that they provided for doing that was that they thought that it would be a safer win if they backed him, but that's not true. He won by like
How'd
a
he
little
do in the
over
general?
300 votes.
Yeah.
That's what matters, to be
I'd
clear,
have to-
right?
What was
I'd
his
have to
name
look.
again?
Henry Kuehler. Henry.
Enrique.
Yeah.
Got it.
If he won by a narrow margin,
But here
then
here's
that was
why,
the right
okay.
choice to make.
No. He
In the general, I'm
he
talking
won
about.
against. No, I'm not talking about the general. He won
Well, I
against the primary candidate. No,
Yes,
he won
exactly.
against the.
If he won in the general by a very, very small margin, then that was the right move to make, because
No,
again,
that's not what I said. I said
I know
against
that's not
primary,
what you
against-
said. It's what I'm saying.
Oh my
I'm
God.
saying that Nancy, you were criticizing Nancy Pelosi for breaking her rule, for backing
Yeah.
a moderate Dem or a corporate Dem, whatever you want to
No,
call
he
them,
wasn't even. He
against
wasn't
the
even a moderate
progressive.
Dem. I'll explain in a second. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, that's your main criticism, is that the Democratic coalition blocked a progressive or a more progressive candidate to support someone who is more moderate. Is that your main criticism?
He's not moderate, but sure, everything else more or less. Yeah.
Sure. Okay, that's the right move if you're in a purple or even a pink district.
He won the general against his Republican, Cassie Garcia, 56.7% to 43.3%.
Okay.
So he kind of
So that wasn't.
And okay, let me tell you. Okay, let me and let me tell you like how shit this guy is. Okay, he's a shit guy. Like right after Roe, right after Roe, he was out here being like openly anti-abortion. He
What
was
district
the
is
only
he in?
Dem to vote.
He is in U.S. House, the Texas 28th.
Oh, he's in
Congressional
Texas? Yeah, that's the right move. Okay.
No,
makes
that's
sense,
not the
yeah.
right. No, that's not the. No, look
Texas.
again. Look
Again, look
no,
at Tallarico and
no,
how
look-
well he's doing compared to the
Look-
other ones on.
Look at the
on tap.
no. Look, this guy. No, what I'm trying to say is that what I'm trying to say is that this guy his own. The Democrats criticized Nancy Pelosi like they were getting shit. Everyone was giving her shit for backing him. There shouldn't have been. There's not very many good reasons why she was
it was
that she would
Texas.
back him.
This is my problem with the leftists. And this is why they're going to
No,
They're
wait,
gonna,
no.
hold on,
Real
ice
quick.
beans.
No,
Both of you shut up.
no,
Both of you shut up for a
haven't-
minute because
no,
this
you
is
haven't looked-
this
no,
is
you just
perfect.
heard
No,
Texas.
hold on,
You
stop,
haven't even
stop,
looked
stop,
into it.
please. Oh my God, let me speak for just 2 minutes, please. It won't even be that long, I
Go ahead.
promise. Okay.
Go ahead.
This is a great example of why the leftists hurt us. In very pink or red districts, you want to run a very moderate one. You can't do these litmus tests on things like abortion and things like that. If I had the choice,
He's not the only
between an
reason.
abortion, I
He's-
understand
he
it's
was
not the only
literally pardoned
thing.
by
Stop
Trump.
doing this
He was
Martin
literally
Valley.
pardoned
I'm
by
talking about a
Trump. He was literally
perpetual
pardoned by
thing.
Trump on
He is
corruption
better
charges.
than the Republican
He's
candidate.
voted against. I'm sorry. Wait. He's voted against the. He's voted
Is he
for
still?
the SAVE Act.
Look, would a Republican have voted
He's
for the SAVE
continuing
Act?
to hurt us today.
Hold on.
He's continuing to wait. What?
Okay, would a Republican that won his seat would that Republican have voted for the SAVE Act?
Okay.
Would he also
Yes.
have voted
Oh, I don't
against
know,
some of the
actually.
things that this Democrat, whoever he may be, voted for?
He had a very even at that point in time he had a very demonstrated track history of voting against Democrats.
Again,
6.
things like Manchin,
No.
things in these deep
No,
red
no.
districts
No,
and
no,
these
no,
pink
no.
districts, we
No,
have to
this
recognize
is-
that they're not going to
this
vote
was
for
not-
us all
no,
the time,
this was-
but they are
no,
still
this
going to
was
be
not-
voting better than a
this
Republican
was-
would. And they have a
and wait.
better chance of winning in these districts than a progressive would.
And also, this wasn't some random person. This guy had won the previous 10 elections, so he was a proven
I'm
winner.
not saying. No, listen.
He's been
I'm
in
not
office
saying
since
that there's
2002.
No, I'm not saying that there's no precedent for supporting him. I'm just saying that these are the things that whether you like it or not, you can't just dismiss it by saying it's a pink district and so blah 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 blah. It's the given thing. No, this guy is continuing to hurt us today. So my point is, this is my point. Here's my point.
But he's not hurting
My
us.
point is that yes, he fucking is.
No, because the
Wick.
alternative is
Wait,
someone
real
who would
quick.
hurt us worse.
Wick.
Hold on,
Wick.
you don't understand this.
He
You
I
can't
is-
get it
have
through
one
your
question.
skull.
I have
The
one question.
alternative
You need to-
isn't that we
He
would have a
is-
progressive. That was never
Wick.
in the cards. There is no
Wick.
way God himself
Wick.
could come down on this
Wick.
earth and say vote progressive,
Wick.
and a lot of people would call that,
Wick.
oh, that's just a deep state
His
agent,
votes-
right?
his
When we
votes-
talk
his
about
votes-
these
his-
deep
his
red
vote- okay, listen,
districts
no,
and these
you're
pink
losing
districts,
your
they
mind.
aren't
You're
voting
losing your
progressive.
mind.
They
You're
will
losing
never
your
do
mind,
that.
and your entire argument hinges on the fact that if a Republican was in his seat, then we wouldn't get our votes. I'm telling you that up until that point, he had demonstrated to vote against Democrat interests already.
Again,
So
in
you can't
certain
say
cases,
that
yes,
your
but
entire
overall,
argument, your
no.
entire
Hold on,
argument
you have
rests
the
on that-
information up, Usurp. How many times has he voted with the Democratic coalition? you have a percentage?
Give me 2 minutes.
Yeah,
I'll
get a
that answer for you.
percentage.
But this is the thing, though. Wick.
It's percentage.
Look,
I don't care if he votes
no,
for or against
no,
us once or twice.
This isn't even my main point. Okay, my main point is to point this out, to say that this is something that Nancy Pelosi shouldn't have done. That there's criticism there. Do you acknowledge that there's some criticism there?
You
or
can
are you saying
criticize
that this
him,
is beyond?
yes.
No. Wait. Okay. So wait. No. I'm trying to make a point. Answer yes or no. Is this something that she can be criticized
Okay,
for? Yes
Pisco.
or no?
Yes, you can criticize her for this.
Okay. All right. Cool. So,
He's
He's
Okay.
literally
so me,
right.
so me.
Can I
so me
criticize
pointing
you
that-
for
no? Hold on.
for trying
Me
to
pointing-
both sides
nope,
these things?
Nope.
No, I can't criticize you?
No,
I'm not
I'm
allowed?
making a fucking point. Wick, you can wait your turn. You know how that works, right? Okay. My point
You've been talking
is,
for a while.
is that I have been talking for a while because I have also waited a while.
71%, by the
I'm
way.
trying to. I
How
am
much was that?
trying
I'm sorry.
to say.
71.
71%. Yeah, that's way more than any Republican ever would.
Okay, great job, buddy. I'm not talking about after he was elected. I'm talking about before.
In 2002?
No, before 2002, he had already proven to be a like.
2002 is when he first won. Like the
Sorry,
2022
not
was his
2000.
10th.
No, I said 20. Sorry, I said 2022, didn't I?
Yeah, but
I
I'm just
say-
saying he's
my-
been in office since 2002.
Yeah, sure. No, I that's fine. But
Proven
like
winner.
my point. No, that's not the. I'm saying in 2022 when he was up against like that progressive candidate.
Uh-huh.
That's what I meant. That's what I meant.
Let me ask one thing. Is it possible? Is it like, I'm not saying this actually happened or this is a fact of the matter. Is it possible that in that 2022 primary, when it was like, the race was kind of close, it was under 300 votes, that was different. Is it possible that Nancy Pelosi and the DNC had kind of like research done and they saw that, like, and they had basically evidence saying, guys, if a progressive wins this seat in this primary, they're going to get absolutely fucking destroyed and they're going to lose. Should Nancy
this
Pelosi
seat,
have done what
so
she
I'm just
done?
looking at the history, and this seat's like pretty solid Democrat. Like it's one of the only solid Democrat seats in Texas.
Since
Maybe it's because of who they
2002,
have-
when he
'cause this
ran for
guy
it,
is a
maybe
literal-
yes.
No, Wick, going all the way
He's
back.
right
Hold on,
down the middle.
Hold on, Wick, going all the way back to like 2004. Like this is a pretty solidly Democrat.
Yes.
Seat.
Why?
He won in 2002. He's been demonstrated able to
Okay.
be solidly Democrat in this district in Texas.
Okay,
Yes.
so you think?
That's
do you think?
true.
Okay, so do you think?
Wait,
And
hold
you
on,
think
hold
that's
on.
the
Wait,
only
one
guy?
second,
Before
one
he
second, one
came
second.
in, before
Wait,
2002,
one second. No, Wick.
was
Okay.
he
You're
was it red?
demonstrating
Wait,
my
let me.
point,
No,
by the way.
hold on, Wick. Actually, before him, it was so solid Democrat. So he was the guy before him, Ciro Rodriguez, was elected 1, 2, 3, 4 times, and the Democrat before that 3 times.
Yes.
So yeah, it's pretty. It's
Okay.
very
They run
Democratic.
moderates in
All the way
that
back to
district.
1992.
No, no, no.
You don't even know. You don't know anything about these guys. Why would you assume they're
No, no, no.
moderates?
Okay,
Why would you
listen,
assume they're
can I-
not?
I'm not.
No.
I'm just telling you. You're saying this like a there's
Are
like some
they-
kind
are
of
they
risk of the
socialists?
Republicans would take the seat if they didn't vote for this guy. But this
Are
is
they
a very
He's not a
solid Democrat
socialist.
seat.
He's very.
Well, that doesn't matter.
conservative Democrat.
The question was that we had a more farther left Democrat and a more centrist or conservative Democrat, and the party decided to back the conservative Democrat, and someone is complaining about that. But the issue isn't who came before, or the issue, if we're going to bring up who came before or after, are they more left or not? If we're going to talk about
Yes,
like the
she was
overall
more.
temperament
Yes,
of the people.
She was more left. Yes, her.
No,
Yeah, but she's
not
not a
the
socialist.
people,
She's
not the losers, not the losers. I'm talking about the people who were in the seat beforehand, not the person he was running against who lost.
Wick, check your DMs.
Oh.
Okay,
Ooh,
look.
what are you sending me?
I don't know the answer to
We're
this, but
assuming-
my overall, my broader
Ah,
point, which Wick is determined to simultaneously deny but also demonstrate, is that in very specific cases like these, Democrats can absolutely not only be criticized, but I would argue they do push that overturned window over. They push these. They like okay, just put yourself in the shoes of somebody who would want to do the things the right way, back these like progressive people in the primaries and shit. When they see something like
reject
this
that that's the
happen,
right way.
I don't. When they see something like this happen, yes, even if they were to convincingly put together some argument to say
yes, if we
this
have to
is the
hold on,
only way.
hold on, no, stop,
This
because
is the only
again,
way.
I understand your point. I understand your point. I get it. I get it.
No,
I get it.
you
I get it.
don't
I get it. I
understand
get it.
my
I get it. I get it.
You
I get
gotta
it.
get
Let me
let other
respond,
people.
please. My
Come on.
God, don't
Yes.
filibuster, please. I get your point. I understand your point. We've internalized it. We get what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
People who are progressive see this happen and see the Democrat DNC machine back the moderate over the progressive, and they think, man, they just don't want us there and they don't like us there, so I'm going to go against the Democrats. The reason we don't want people like that in my party is because they are going to require us to sacrifice seats for their ego. And this is to Doobie, okay?
No, you
Earlier on, and to Prime, but he's no
mischaracterized
longer
this
here,
already.
right? To Prime
opinion.
and to
He's not-
Doobie,
he's
right?
mischaracterized
The
his
idea that the voters aren't ultimately responsible for how they vote is asinine. Politicians don't choose who wins. Guess who has the ultimate power in our democracy? It is the voters. So while, yes, politicians do share some of the blame, that is very true. The ultimate blame rests on the voter because they have the ultimate power in that situation.
Sure. Okay, yes,
true.
but
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
you've made this
talking to
very
Jeremy.
you've made this very like passionate and convincing speech, but like
Are you
you have
convinced?
not internalized my no, you have not internalized my point. I'm asking you to consider the motivations, not for you to take that and then run with, oh well, they're throwing their toys out of the pram. I'm bringing up a reason as to why somebody would be attracted to Hassan in the first place.
Yes, I
Like
understand
if
why
you
that
if you
attracts
actually
Hassan.
no if you actually care no if you actually cared
Because they
about
don't care
reducing
about winning. They don't
no
actually
if
care
you
about
actually
politics.
cared okay if you
that's how you get
actually
Trump.
cared about if you actually cared about reducing the effect of Hassan, then you wouldn't deny that this stuff happens, which you spent quite a bit of this
We don't-
denying.
No one denied it happened. We're
Can
just
I,
denying
I'm not
that it was
asked.
a
I'm not. I
bad
wasn't
thing.
talking to you. I was talking to Wick.
Yeah, I
Hassan's doing that by
recognize that
himself,
my
so.
way might get Hassan a few more viewers, but my way will win us elections. If we did it your way, we would lose elections, and Hassan
No,
might
you
get
don't know.
less
You
viewers.
don't.
But
no,
I don't give a
no,
shit
no, no.
about
You
that.
see. The problem is you don't know
Okay.
what my way is. So,
So
it's okay.
I understand.
You
I
can
understand your
pretend
guys'
you understand what my
motivations.
way is.
I understand why you
Yeah.
guys like Hassan, but let me ask
I
you this
don't.
question.
I don't.
Okay. Okay. Let me
I
ask
love
you this
Hassan.
question. Do you understand the
radical enough.
concept of opportunity cost?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Now, do you acknowledge that despite what you guys might personally want, that there might be an opportunity cost to running your candidates all across the country? And that might be
course.
that, yes, we might pick up some progressives, but we might lose more moderates in the process doing so.
Okay. I understand that, but are you trying to say in that this case specifically that Henry Kuehler was the right choice?
No, I'm just saying in general that there's a calculus involved here that you have to consider the
no,
opportunity cost.
No, I do understand the opportunity cost. I've never like it's okay. I understand why people might think I'm here to defend Hassan. I'm not. Like I do understand that you can't just run whoever the fuck you want in whatever district you want. You have to make choices, of course.
So the motivation from people on my side would be that we're calculating that it's better to appeal to a more moderate direction and pick up more voters than it is to lose a few Hassan voters who are very unreliable in the first place and who, like Wick said, are stinky boys that will kind of turn moderate voters away.
It's a stinky.
Not
Yeah,
for
I
the
mean
least
that's
of which-
I personally don't agree that like inching towards the more and more the moderate or even
Yeah,
conservative
so the window
Dem side
shifts
is
right
like,
over time.
I don't think that
Yes,
should be the
but
correct direction.
Do you guys
Not
think that
that
you guys have been successful in the last 10 years of shifting the Overton window more to the left, or do you think it's shifted more to the right?
I think that
My
it
point
has
is that you guys are putting the cart before the horse. You guys haven't been able to shift the public opinion on your policies. It's gone in the opposite direction, and you've done a
because
terrible
people-
job of fighting off against the right in doing so. And without that public support, without that political capital,
You don't understand.
you don't stand a
You don't
chance in the
understand.
elections.
Hex, you don't understand.
You guys
If
want your
everybody-
socialist revolution, but you don't.
If they just
You don't
heard
want to
the
take the
message.
steps
Yeah,
This
you're
is
fighting against right
posturing.
now,
You
that's
don't
right.
know the jack
Hex.
shit about me. You don't know
Hex,
jack
come
shit
on.
about me. You don't know if I'm a. What the fuck is this? Every single time
Yeah, that's why
you
we
get
should have
Red
some
scare
fuck
shit.
instead of
stick come
a
in
kid,
here
so.
Can we
and
move
think
on to
that I'm
something
like
else? We've been on this for like
Hassan.
15
Hey,
minutes.
Dean.
And don't think
Okay,
like
okay,
Dean,
okay.
I have a
There
question
you
for
go.
Dean.
Single
Go ahead.
substantive reply.
Ask your question. Ask your question to Owls.
Well, oh shit, yeah, someone changed my name. The question is moving the political Overton window left good, and by vice versa, does that make moving it right bad? Is that your opinion on this? Because you
Yes.
mentioned it,
No,
but it
I
sounded
don't-
like that's what you were talking about.
I don't know. I don't necessarily agree in every instance. I do think that what's politically advantageous might not always be for example, I think like this. Like, I think the leftist. For example, I think that the whole leftist pushing for ceasing aid to Israel. Like I think that's completely unrealistic. Like I mean, in the sense that we're not going to see it
Cringe.
I just don't think we're going to see it, even though whether or not I believe that it should happen is completely irrelevant. I just don't think it's going to happen, and
Can I
I
say
think
something really
forcing it
quickly?
is not going to Yeah, go ahead.
So I think my issue with what you just said is that so right now the Democrat Party, among even like moderates, quote unquote, right, the standard position in the Democrat Party is that we should put restrictions on military aid to Israel. That is, and we got there not because of the Democrat Party, was helping push that message along. It's in spite of them. It's in spite of the moderates, right? And I think it's something like 90% or over 90% right now of Democrats are more supportive of Gaza, Palestine than they are of Israel, right? And still, the Democrat Party, despite knowing this, still clings to Israel. So just fucking can't stop talking about how much they love Israel and how much money they want to give Israel. They're totally disconnected from the voters. So it's unrealistic. It's unrealistic. Wait 1 second. It's unrealistic in the way that, unlikely to happen because the establishment of the Democrat Party is a bunch of nasty Zionists. But it's just true that the majority of the Democrat Party wants this to happen. So pushing away from that is ridiculous.
They want Israel at all.
They want restrictions. They want the United States to have a backbone when it deals with Israel.
That was the Democrat position, though.
No,
the aid was
they did that during
No, it wasn't.
That's why
Biden was totally spineless in Israel. The Democrat Party told
how come
Schumer, Pelosi, they can't stop talking about how much money they want to give Israel. Fetterman, they can't stop talking about how much money they want to give Israel.
How come Bibi waited in the South? How come Bibi waited in the South?
Waited? Hold on.
Yeah.
What happened after he waited?
After the corridor was open and all those innocent people got out?
Not true. No.
Oh, no one got out?
Did he meet the requirements that Biden set out? Did he meet the requirements that Biden set out in that leaked memo that was sent to him? No, he didn't. They didn't do any of that shit.
Okay,
Did more people left?
There was a leak memo from the State Department that went to Israel demanding that they.
Okay, I got a housekeeping thing. I'm very hungry.
You're fucking a straw man. I don't know why you keep saying that.
I'll let you guys go a second. I am very hungry. I want to go get McDonald's. You got to give me money, or I'm gonna just end the stream. Okay, just FYI. Okay.
Wait, what's your order at McDonald's?
Well, probably I'm gonna get 2 hot spicy McChickens, fries, and just.
You really shouldn't eat that shit.
Look up how much.
Go to the grocery store and get some beans or something.
Get some beans. I got ice beans right here.
Yeah, they're really fucking cheap. You get 20 pounds of beans for $5.
And I forced Wick to do call-ins and free content.
But if you want to keep call-ins, you got to keep giving me money. I can't work for free. I gotta.
All right, I got to dip. I'll talk to y'all later.
I'll see you later.
Good night.
Okay, with that, I probably am gonna end the stream because I am hungry.
Okay. Okay, love you, Wick.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Gaza,
and remember, tune in tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern. We're gonna have Short Fat Otaku Dev, and we're gonna have Destiny, and he's gonna be facing Steelborn and the other guy whose name I forget. I love you all. I'll see you later. Bye.
Thank you, guys. Have a great